this. I know Facebook is on live right now. Come on. Right. YouTube has gone live, so I know I'm sorting that problem, no bother. But if it got right, it's come up saying no comments or restrictions, so hopefully now if I get comments, man, I'll be able to see that at the side. Right. I do apologise, but that's a change. It's not the same thing, so that's positive. Right, so I know that if I'm going to get any YouTube comments, I should see them now. Right, I do apologise. So if there's anybody on YouTube right now, right, if you can see the live feed and that, comment and let us know, right, because then I'll be able to see whether that thing will show up any comments or that. I'll try and find the that for whatever reason being, I can't even see the actual live YouTube page, and that's what the main problem is. You know what I mean? I don't see it anywhere. Maybe if I actually just click on the actual YouTube link. So if you guys on YouTube can actually see, then let us know, so that I can see the comments. Right? If no, then I'll just have to go to the actual where the YouTube live stream is. So I'm kind of waiting on you guys, because that's the thing. Right now it's only one. Is it one person or something? Oh. I'll click on it. I'm gonna have to retitle it. Right, obviously you're commenting, PV, that there's no... See what's happening, right? PV, when you're commenting, there's nothing showing up. You see there's no comments. That's why I was trying to figure out. I don't know how to actually get that working. I don't know if that thing just works only when you're no using Restream or something, but it's just... That's kind of frustrating anyway, you know what I mean? Hello, I obviously see comments and that. So, hello for the third time indeed. React to the Finnish Bolshevik. I will be doing that. I'll be doing a response. But saying that though, I mean I've got a number of requests, so I will get around to doing the videos when I can and that. And like I says, I mean it's been arranged. I just need to make sure I get a proper arranged time to do the live stream with Mike, of course, as I did mention, so that's another thing I'm going to be doing. Aye, so I will get that sorted for you. And obviously Craig, aye, I can see that comment, mate, definitely. See, all it is basically, I can see I had to actually come to this the actual live stream itself on YouTube, but for whatever reason being, on the software, the eCamm software, the comments only showing up. That's the thing that I don't get. I'm going to have to do research on that and why the comments only showing up. And it doesn't really make sense to me. I'll close it down and no. That just closes the window down. Because with the eCamm Live software, what you get is all these windows, the certain things you open up. So it's a bit of a pain in the backside if you ask me, and it's just a case that At least now I can find where the YouTube comments are. maybe, maybe if I quit it and try fourth time lucky, man. Probably pissed a good few people off by now. Oh, is that unreal? But the worst comes to the worst, folk. I'll do the live feed with Mike, but I probably will not be able to time the comments up or that. You know what I mean? Like the capabilities you're able to do with the software, and I would like to do that, but it's just I don't even know how to get it gone. So anyway, folk, I'm just gonna speak the now. Right, I'll probably try and sort out the comment thing, like eventually, and as you said, how do we implement a gold pattern in a modern central bank society? I think you're talking about the gold standard, and well, here's the thing, right? I'm not in support of central banks. I would want to see the central banking system abolished, because it's corrupt. The central banking system was never supposed to exist. For me personally, I would get rid of the central banking system and I return to the gold and silver standard, and that's the way, for me, things should be. Real monetary value, because unlike gold and silver that cannot be manipulated in the same manner, it cannot be printed like what you can with paper, and that's what the main problem's been. Because what have central banks been doing? The central banks are the ones that have been printing the fiat currency, and the fiat currency is basically paper backed by nothing. Well, nowadays, you probably heard about the petrodollar. The petrodollar is basically where they back the paper by petrol, but petrol's volatile. Petrol is something that, you know, you see it yourself, it goes up and down. And that's why when you saw in Venezuela, the 1970s, they went through somewhat of a boom. It was short-lived. I think by about 1980 it came to an end, and that oil boom came to an end. It crashed, plummeted, and that's what Venezuela's economy was heavily dependent upon. So what I'm saying is their economy wasn't anything great like some people make it to be back in that time period. And then of course, for 2 decades they were in a, well, for 2 decades they would suffer problems as a result of that. And Venezuela tried to, you know, run the printing press to try and, as a reaction to the plummet of the oil prices, and as a result inflation was spiralling out of control. So then that's when Hugo Chavez stepped in. But guess what? Hugo Chavez stepped in at a time period when oil prices just went back up. So he's very lucky. He was very lucky. It was actually weeks before he stepped in that the oil prices boomed, and that's what he depended upon. You know what I mean? So that's why it was a false economy. So what I mean is when the oil prices boomed again, right, and Hugo Chavez took over Venezuela, it lasted right up to about 2007. But this is what destroys their arguments whenever they turn around and they say to you, oh well, you know, all the shortage problems, they only occurred because of the fact that, you know, that only occurred because of the fact that the United States got Saudi Arabia to ramp up oil production. Well, what do you do? See if that was the case, right? And the United States got Saudi Arabia to ramp up oil production. What does it mean to ramp up oil production? Well, if there's more production, there's lower costs, right? So what they're trying to say is that the shortages occurred because Saudi Arabia ramping up oil production, but that's not true, because their food shortage crisis began in 2003. Their their problems where they faced with the blackouts. Do you know remember the blackouts in Venezuela? That occurred like 2003 to about 2006 onwards. So their shortage problems were already there. They were. That was just one of those things. So that's the whole thing, right? And like I say, with central banks, I don't think they've ever served any good, in my personal view. As you say, can we hear a slight delayed echo coming through your end? It's caused this. 2 seconds. You'll probably think it better now, because I'll put my headphones at the side because of the fact when I'm speaking and that thing is coming through that as well, and the headphones and that, so I set that down at the side there. It can be a wee bit distracting, I know what you mean, mate. It's a wee bit. As you said, 1314 Finnish Bolshevik. I mean, I can't even pronounce what you've said there in that. Suman Kansan Vapauta. I don't even know what that means. Again, I can't even pronounce any of that. Is that on Finnish or something? I know I don't speak it either, Carl. I can't even make it out. Let me just check some of the Facebook comments and all. Because obviously it's obviously live on Facebook as well. Aye, third time lucky, mate. That's definitely. Will Trump win re-election? Will Trump win the re-election? My friend Patrick mentions, and I think he will. And I'll tell you the reason why I think he will. I think the reason why Trump is going to win it is simply because of the fact that a lot of people are falling away. And I don't know if you've been paying attention, but there's actually a movement called Walk Away. And basically it was a conservative that created this Walk Away movement, right? And he created it because he was sick of the protesters going out. And you've seen it yourself with the Black Lives Matter and all the rest of it. They were vandalising, attacking innocent people, and aye. So they needed a voice, so a conservative went out, created that, and apparently more than 80,000 people have walked away from the Democrat Party. So it sounds to me that a lot of folk have lost trust in them. See, that's the thing. All the left needed today was to show their true colours, and I tell you that. I tell you that even before the Scottish independence referendum, because I says, look, folk, socialism cannot be democratic, right? There's no such thing, right? See, if you're someone that's a socialist, right, you're basically someone who's immoral, and socialism itself requires coercion, everything about it, right? And I'm not going to go into the whole thing about that, but the point being is the fact that it was only natural that when things were not going to go their way, when elections were not going to go their way, they were going to react that way. For example, Scottish independence referendum, the left and the Scottish nationalist movement was going to react in an anti-democratic behaviour. It then became widespread because then you had the EU referendum. When the EU referendum came around and it didn't go their way, and you saw Brexit, once you saw Brexit, the natural, thing that you're going to see is an anti-democratic behaviour. That's why they tried, for 3 years to basically delay Brexit. They tried every dirty trick in the book And then once things didn't go that way, because you've got to remember, seeing the build up to that, and it was what, December last year, and with December last year, you then saw the general election again. They lost that. So what do you think their reaction's going to be when they lose all those things, right? Because they're anti-democratic. They then become violent because it's their only option, right? That because nobody's ever going to vote for communism. Nobody would. Who would ever want to vote for communism? I mean, you've seen what it did in history. It wiped more than about 100 million people off the face of this planet. I mean, you're talking about more than 100 million people starved to death. Never let alone all the millions that were massacred by the pointing a gun in the back of the head. And if it wasn't, you know, having a guns pointed at the back of their head, they were stuck in, well, you get my point. All the horrid things you could ever think of. But that's the point. No rational-minded people who understand history would ever accept such a thing. They're not going to accept any of that. So the point that I'm addressing here is the fact, they knew that things weren't going their way, right? So along comes the whole Black Lives Matter movement, right? But it's a Marxist organisation, right? They tried to hide behind the whole thing to do with slavery. It says, oh, it's just a case we're so offended by slavery. That's just nonsense, folk. That's all cultural Marxist bullshit. That's all that is it's cultural Marxist nonsense. It was just something to hide their face behind their true colours. And what was their true colours? In other words, they just want to call you racist, right? That's all they want to do. They want to call you racist as a matter of political correctness. That's what it is. They want to try to silence you, right? They knew their political correctness wasn't silencing folk. So how else can they go about it? Well, they try to use this as a whole agenda. They hide behind, and they pretend they care about black folk, right? They pretend that this is what it's really all about. It's no. It's the cultural revolution. Folk, honestly, read history. Learn your history. Read history and you'll see it was a cultural revolution. That's what it was really all about. That's what the whole thing was all about. Nothing else other than that. The cultural revolution, what it was really all about. And that was all they were interested in, right? So that's what they wanted to do, right? And you get my point and what I'm basically saying. So you get my point. That was basically where things were going. And that was kind of how everything built up. Unfortunately, we've seen a lot of violence and stuff like that. So, it was just the very sad thing, so to speak. Like I say, I'm just switching between the comments. So Patrick, at the end of the day, I think as a result of that, I think after what people saw, a lot of folk, and especially the defunding the police, that would scare a lot of folk. You've got a lot of you have a lot of people out there who are good people who just aren't interested in politics, right? And they just go about their everyday life. And what do you think they think when these people try to defund the police? You've got a lot of people who aren't interested in politics, but at the same time they're rational minded enough to understand the importance of their security. Right? They understand that. They're rational minded enough to understand the importance of having police. Because obviously they want to feel safe in their life. I mean, would they honestly want to go about, life where they feel frightened for their life, just to walk the streets? Of course they don't. Right? So, the truth of the matter is, as a reaction, they're gonna vote Trump. You know, they're gonna do so because of the fact that they'll be scared of where things have been going, and especially a lot of the folk who have been, you know, for places like New York or Seattle, etc. They're gonna do that. So I think you're gonna see, you're gonna see a reaction anyway. Just to make that point clear to you. As you says, 1314. Marching Song of the White Army. The song is called Vapausoturin Valutusala. What the? See, I don't ever expect me to learn that language. See, when it comes to foreign languages, I honestly bastard. I tried that the other day. Right, I was speaking to someone, obviously personally me, and I was trying to pronounce obviously Scandinavian, and I can't do it. I just can't do it. I can't pronounce anything. I can't do what you're, you know. It's just it's a whole other language that I just can't do. That's for sure. You need to translate. I know. I can't make it up. Dios. The Soviet Republic of Scotland sounds like a nightmare, which the nutty left in Scotland want. Oh, that's one of the main reasons, and I was explaining that to Danny on the live stream, and I was saying about, unfortunately, because there was a period of heavy nationalisation, and what the heavy nationalisation did is because a lot of folk were born into that, right? So because folk were born into it, they think that's the done thing, right? They think that's just how things are, right? But that's because a lot of folk just don't understand the economic arguments. It's because they don't understand. They've never known an alternative. In other words, like for example, in the videos I did of, you know, direct primary care, the free market model of healthcare, most folk will never have heard of that. You know, most folk, that's new to them. That's news to them because they were never taught it in their education system. They were never told anything through the mainstream media. I mean, have you ever heard the mainstream media going on about things about free market healthcare? You never heard anything. You would never get anything for them because it's not in their interests, because it's in their interest to go against the people. They want to keep you dependent. That's why they were, you know, the mainstream media were, you know, using political correctness and making you as if you're a racist if you support Brexit. You see what I'm saying? So that's the point that I was getting at. You know, they don't want the truth to people, and because unfortunately in Scotland for many years folk have never been told an alternative, and our education system is just filled with these teachers who have really only got their own self-interest because it's public ownership. Right, and because it's public ownership, they're probably thinking about their own jobs. Right, they're not interested in hearing the truth. The education should be privatised. The education should be in the private sector. And it doesn't mean teachers lose their jobs. That's what they don't understand. It doesn't mean, oh well, teachers just lose their jobs and that's it, they don't have any jobs. It's a case that all they would be doing is to be transferred for, you know, working, you know, in the public sector to the private sector, and they would be far better off as a result of it. You know what I mean? But they've been told for so long, like take for example the education system, right? They've been, you know, indoctrinated, told for so long that if you privatise something it must mean it's expensive. Well, it's no different with the argument there between the main American healthcare market today to that of a free market in healthcare. Same thing with the education. You know, there's a colossal difference. Education would be far cheaper if it was under a free market. And unfortunately, because of the education system, it's been filling kids' heads with a load of nonsense that, oh well, we need nationalisation, we need this, we need that, we need this, that, and the next thing, because if it wasn't for government, or wherever would we be? And I remember when I was studying the travel and tourism, and I was in the NC, or what you would want to call the NQ, the National Certificate, and only studied that for about a year. But I remember my lecturer, and I was stunning, speaking to her at the end of the, the class, along with someone I obviously speak to, and we were speaking about something today with the relative to the economy. In her words during the class, she says something about nationalising Prestwick Airport, and I'm thinking to myself, that isn't the answer. But folk just don't get it, right? They don't understand, number one, where the money comes from in order to pay for the nationalisation, and number two, why it's inefficient. But that's my point. When it came to Scotland, unfortunately, this country became so conditioned to believe that socialism means something good, that socialism can be democratic, that socialism... That social... Don't get me wrong, there's a number of folk who support Scottish independence who are just turning in favour of, full-blown socialism. I'm not saying everybody in Scotland's like that, because you get a lot of people... Because I remember I was speaking to some random woman or something. I think she must be... When I was at the gym, and she just struck up this conversation. It must have been because of the whole thing today with... She just brought it up out of nowhere. And I think it was today with the Brexit thing or something like that, right? Because obviously this was before the whole fiasco, and she starts going on about, obviously she supports the mixed economy and stuff like that, and I was sitting trying to explain to her, and I don't think obviously she could fully understand, but just for her example alone, it shows you that there are folk who support the Scottish independence but support the mixed economy, and this is the thing, right? Even then, folk have been conditioned to believe, well, we need to strike the right balance between capitalism and socialism, because, oh well, if we ever move towards a capitalist system, all hell would break loose. Well, what do they think the mixed economy is? The mixed economy is the very reason why they've got the problems that they've got. You know what I'm trying to say to you? The mixed economy is why, and I don't agree with Marxists in most things. The one thing that I agree with Marxists upon is the fact that today's system is unjust. That's it. That's the only thing I agree with them upon. But their solution, the solution that obviously Marxists have, no, of course no. But you get where I'm coming from. Like, and I've came across a good few folk like that in Scotland, and they just... I'm not saying everybody's a full-blown Marxist, but you get a lot of folk who think that, well, we need this and we need that, and we need this, that, and the next thing in the public sector, and if it's not in the public sector, wherever would we be, and that's the kind of problem you've got. So you can understand where I'm coming from. It's no easy. Marcus Aurelius, as you say, let's be honest, the Nordic model is pretty great. Well, not really, no. You would think that. I wouldn't even need to live in countries like Norway, Sweden and Denmark to know this for myself. I wouldn't. I actually stated something that turned out to be the truth. What did I say? What did I say the whole time? I says, Norway, as a result of being so heavily dependent upon the North Sea oil, being the 5th largest oil exporter in Western Europe, and as a result of the higher tax rates, in order to sustain the big welfare state, all the redistribution of wealth, folk who live and work in Norway, they would be taxed half to death to pay for all them who aren't working, right? They would be taxed half to death just for the sake of, everything, right? And the price that you pay for the higher tax rates, a severe lack of productivity. So most jobs in Norway are being exported, and I says Kongsberg Automotive, a Norwegian automobile company, has only got about 5% of their workforce left in Norway. Why? Because they can't afford to produce in their own home country. They can't afford it. They can't afford to produce in Norway because the higher tax rates have taxed them half to death. So what are they going to do? Well, obviously they're going to export jobs to China, to Mexico, to the United States. So it's no this utopia that they're trying to make it to be, right? Life is very stagnant in terms of economics. Life is very stagnant, and it's because it's no the glorious place that they make it to be with these Scandinavian countries. Doesn't matter whether it's Norway, Sweden, Denmark. The story is very similar. Alright, there's wee differences, but it's very similar. Denmark's another country. Now, I was just recently told, right, and it clarified my point. It made it clear. I was recently told that folk from, Norway cross the border to go shopping in Sweden. What do you think that's for? They're doing it because they can't afford to go shopping in their own country, and that's not the sign of a country that's exactly glorious. That's obviously the sign that there's problems, right? And the way that folk make these countries out to be is as if to say that they're these absolute utopias, and you hear it all the time. That was all I ever got during the Scottish independence build up. The Scottish independence debate. All I ever heard was Norway this, Norway that, Norway Stat Oil, Norway Welfare Fund. And I recently came across one, right? This one is laughable, on a Facebook group, right? No joke, right? A Facebook group. And this guy says, and I was laughing to myself when he came out and he says, this isn't a middle-aged guy. This is an older guy. He's clearly older than myself, right? And he comes out with this nonsense because he's a socialist, right? He comes out with this nonsense and he says something about Norway. And he says, but, because he's a Scottish nationalist, right? And he comes out and he says, Norway, look at their more than 1 trillion oil fund. And then, and know what he actually did? And I'm no shitting you. I'm no shitting you, right? Know what he actually did? He took the 1 trillion and he divided it down between the population. And he was saying something about, each person in Norway has more than 200,000 krona or something like that. And as if to say that each individual is rich and that everybody has, a part of this welfare fund. And I'm thinking to myself, what are you talking about? What are you actually talking about? The 1 trillion oil fund is nothing other than something. And see if that was the case, how come there's poor people in Norway? And that's what I'm saying. These people live. What I'm trying to say to you, don't ever listen to these people who make these Scandinavian countries as if they're these utopias that, as if it's all unicorns and rainbows and fucking money falling out the sky. See if that was the case, everybody would be moving there. Everybody would. They make it out. They make it out to be something that it isn't, right? And through what I've been told, it doesn't sound the happiest of places. And it was the same, I covered that in a recent video in response to a skeptical human. Do you not remember what I says in response? And I mentioned another guy, and I quoted of what he says. Denmark, for example. they always point to the happiness index. Well, if it's so happy, then how come they're coming out and saying otherwise if you question them? See, what the people say is very different from what these so-called surveys come out and say. And I can tell you that right now. It's not as glorious as what's made out to be, and what people say match the high suicide rates. Right, there's high suicide rates. You can't say, well, people are happy at the same time as having high suicide rates. I mean, how do you work that logic out? That doesn't make any rational sense. So that's what I'm trying to tell you. It's no like these Nordic countries are utopias, and even if you talk about Sweden, they began moving towards private initiatives in their healthcare and education and stuff like that, and that's what I'm trying to get across. Like, before I think I'll just check my Facebook and just check to see any comments and that. With this, as you said, Craig, America is in such a bad state at the moment. Modern day civil war. I completely agree with you, mate. I mean, it's a scary thing that's been going on there, and the communists are trying to take it off. But there's enough patriotic people in the United States who wouldn't stand for that. And I don't know if you watched any of the Trump's rallies when he came out and he was speaking. Obviously, well, Trump was obviously coming out and he was speaking about things relative, let me just quickly check something. 2 seconds. Sorry, I just wanted to check. But I mean, it's right now, because here's where the problem is, right? Here's what the main problem is. The United States of America is this mixed economy. A mixed economy can't escape corporatism, and corporatism is basically the merger between state and corporations. What happens as a result of corporatism is you've got, it creates these monopolies and these cartels. So it's a system where government gets to pick and choose winners and losers. So government always sides with those who have got the big money, big corporations, right? And the little man is kept down. So that's why you can sympathise with what socialists might come out and say, and they're writing for what they say, you know what I mean? But where they're wrong is they're trying to blame it on capitalism. It's not an to do with capitalism. It's just like the American healthcare market. The American healthcare market got in its mess because of all the government intervention. And just like in the recent video I says about the automation, well, it's government's regulation that ends up destroying jobs, making it difficult, only then to see corporations and stuff like that and big businesses like Amazon, turn towards automation. Now, what I'm saying is big business is not a problem. Big business is good for the economy. It's not big business that's the problem. The problem in today's economy and why it's in such a mess is because of all the interference by government. And because of the absence of the free market, it's led to this strongly cronyist system that's unjust, that's unfair, and it makes it harder for those who are just working class people. Because it destroys their opportunity, it destroys competition, it destroys innovation, it makes it difficult on the consumer, it drives consumer prices up, it makes private sector costs very expensive, and that's what the problem is. It's always been down to the fact that government's interference has created that very problem. You know where I'm coming from. So that's where the main serious issue is, because like I says, I mean, if folk go back and look over my 2 recent videos on healthcare, and I mentioned about obviously the difference between the main American healthcare market, that's why I distinctly separated them. But if they were to go over and look over why the American healthcare costs got out of control, and then they compare that to the American, direct primary care model, they would get their eyes open. They would honestly get their eyes open. They would then, see the bigger picture. They would see, what the problem is. and that's the thing. But America's economy, like I say, I mean, they're real, not their official debt level. I mean, their official debt level is about $21 trillion, but I mean, you're talking about their real debt level. They're sitting more than $220 trillion in debt, and most of that is down to the social security, because the social security was never something that was paid for directly. It's something that people can't afford, and it's just because people don't understand what the free market is and how a free market operates that they've been struck with so much fear, so to speak. That's what I'm trying to say. And I'm like I say, I'm going to go on to speaking about Hong Kong and stuff like that when it comes to when I get the live feed sorted and everything with Mike and that. And as Mike actually goes on to mention in Facebook, he says, sure, that's the biggest issue. There is no information about the alternatives. Exactly, Mike. You're spot on, mate. I mean, here's the thing. Mike originates from Hong Kong, right? He's originally from, Hong Kong. And I would imagine he probably got to experience more of the economic freedom, and he understands quite a lot of, obviously, the problems of where things are going to go, and obviously we will be covering that in the video. But here's the thing about Hong Kong, right? They lived the experience, so they understand the value of it. But if you were to compare, folk and their mentality, they understand the value of freedom. They know. They understand. Put it this way, they understand social security is a Ponzi scheme. They can see that, right? And a good number of folk who experience the free market, they can see that. But see, when it comes to folk who were born into social security and everything in Britain, they don't know the alternative, and that's what it really all boils down to. That is truthfully where it all boils down to. Because they were never told how life operates. They were told a pack of lies about capitalism, in other words. They were told every lie under the sun. The lie that capitalism would lead to a 1% elite. The lie that it would lead to a dangerous concentration of wealth in the hands of the few. The lie that it would lead to all these monopolies and cartels. The lie, and the funny thing is, what do they think their government intervention did? It was their government intervention that did that. That did exactly that. You see where I'm coming from? And again, Mike says, sure, state pension is just a pyramid scheme. Correct. Folk, see if you had, here's the thing, right? See if you had the ability to keep most of your money. See if you had the ability, and just for argument's sake, let's say it was a flat 10% tax rate, and let's say that you got to keep most of your money. Do you honestly think you would be poorer as a result of that? No. You would have the financial independence to put money away for yourself, to be financially independent, and if you had low costs of living, because that's what a free market does. A free market dramatically reduces your cost of living overall. Healthcare, education, fire service, so much, right? It takes the cost of living down so much, right? So imagine, not number one, the purchasing power of your monetary value driving up, which means wages drive up. Imagine that, number one. Number two, a low inflationary based economy where you've got low cost of living. That's number two. And number three, where you get to keep most of your money. Imagine all three of those put together. You would be a much wealthier person. And if folk are trying to say that you wouldn't even have the money, or you wouldn't be able to afford to put money away to afford for your social security, for your independent security, for pensions and stuff like that, they're talking nonsense. I mean, it's the truth of the matter. And I'm in belief, yes, helping people, charity's the answer to helping people and stuff like that. But I also do believe that if people make wrong decisions in life, they should learn for that. Right? They should learn for their own mistakes. That's how you improve. Right? I mean, that's just how I see things in life. So if you make mistakes in life, then obviously you should be able to, you know, certainly learn and improve in that regard. And it's the same thing, you know, if you make wrong decisions with your own finances, you know, it's that's how things should be. It shouldn't be a case where those who are responsible in life should be forced to pay for those who are irresponsible in life. That's what I'm trying to say. And as you said, Mike, in order for the state pension system sustainable, the number of people paying and is more than the people claiming. Exactly. However, based on the law of demand, when the economy keeps improving because of the opportunity cost increase, so the demand of having children will reduce. Yeah, and unfortunately, more and more people are having less kids. I can understand that, and it's problematic. It's created a problem, and I, you know, like I says, I'm against that. And as you says, as a result, it is unavoidable that one day we will have state pension deficit because the number of people paying will be less than the people claiming. It's a scary thing, you know. I don't even know how our economy is even going to sustain. You know, as such, as you said, Craig, that's the other issue. People don't know any alternatives because they haven't lived with any, and people are always scared of the unknown. Exactly, mate. Exactly. You're absolutely spot on, and that's what it's really all down to. You know, you know, there's a lot of good folk, and I would imagine, see if more folk in Scotland were made aware, for example, of what the free market alternative is, of how a free market in healthcare operates, what it would cost, what the potential could be, a lot more people would buy into it. But at the same time, people think it's just ideological, right? And it's because of the unknown. That's what's created the problem. It's because of the unknown. Like you've hit it, you know, the nail right in the head. You're absolutely spot on, and that's precisely what the problem is. Dean Kerr, as you say, like the YouTube videos, mate. I greatly appreciate it. To all of you, I think I recently got a comment in one of my other videos on the my Scott CJ McKelvey channel. That's another channel you guys can follow and stuff like that. I want to put out more videos on that with my photography stuff and whatnot. But I know I haven't put out anything of recent, and of course I do catch your comments and stuff like that. So thank you, Dean. Always appreciated, pal. And again, Mike, as you say, not to mention, with a careful operation, you can actually beat the state pension rate of return of almost all the time. As you say, sure, charity is important, but there is a fundamental difference. The society should do something than the government should do. I don't know if I read that. Society should do something than the government should do something. Yeah, I completely agree with you there. Let me quickly just go on to quickly look at the other comments I may have missed out here. Just quickly rattle through some. It's actually, because once I actually work out with this live stream thing and how you actually get the comments across like that, you know what I mean, I'll start doing that. But I don't know why it's not showing up my eCamm thing, but I'll get around to that. Anyway, Marcus Aurelius, Dios, as you said, high taxes, high social security, increasing national debt sounds great. Exactly, mate. it's crippling people, and it's making their life worse, and folk just want to get by in life, you know what I mean? Folk just want to be able to afford things. That's all folk want. They want a better way of life. They want more affordable healthcare, they want more affordable thingy, you know, education. They want to be able to get by in life and afford things and have, you know, the time in their life and that. But when you're getting people putting out wrong information about capitalism, then it's easy enough that people just buy into it. But where certain folk tend to take information is they tend to take it for the wrong type of people, and that's why I try to put out the videos a day, so that folk have at least got, you know, the bigger picture. They can see right for wrong. Yeah, the Nordic model, and she says I finishes an agglutinative language, so it's very, very big words. I know. It's a language that it's hard to use. Tongue twisters, in other words. Christ, even sitting and listening to these certain Scandinavian words are just it's a tongue twister. Dios GDP doesn't mean measure of real growth. Yeah, you know, you could have a high level of productivity, but it doesn't mean to say what you're producing is of any value to the end consumer. That's one thing, because you could produce a lot of waste. That's why GDP isn't, you know, something you know, fully go by, as opposed to nominal growth. Well, I know that was a question, so I do apologise there. High suicide rates and high scores in happiness are often found together. This is a well-known phenomena. Well, it's quite interesting, but like that guy pointed out, he's originally from Britain, and he was going through the whole thing with the happiness index, and it's farcical. The happiness index lacks credibility is the point that I was trying to address. It doesn't, it's got no credibility, is what I was trying to say. Can't grill the grill, as you said. How exactly is Nordic model even a viable system? It's opened the doors to mass immigration just to sustain the amount of levels of government spending. Well, that's another issue that it had been faced with. And here's the thing, the Nordic people didn't agree with it. You know, Sweden, for example, the Swedish people said no. The Swedish people said no to the mass immigration, and they went ahead with it anyway. You know what I mean? I think Norway was the country that actually the government had taken action and put a stop to it or something. I can't remember. It was vague. But no country can sustain that, because you can't ignore the laws of supply and demand. Because what people don't realise is scarcity is real. Scarcity isn't something that just magically disappears. Number one, resources are scarce, right? So if resources are scarce, you have to ensure that resources are going to go to the right parts of the market to improve the material wealth of people. Number two, land itself is scarce, right? So you've got a whole issue that land itself is scarce. Now, see, if people are flooding in, you've got to think about college, university, school placements, healthcare placements, all these things, and all that's going to do. If you've got some unlimited, you know, flood of immigration, the prices are going to soar out of control. It's the laws of supply and demand. It's not something that folk can, you know, just ignore. You know, and that's the thing. I completely agree with you in that regard, and that was the main concern in Britain, especially when we've got a social security system and folk who work hard in the country. You know, it's no fair in them. You know, that's a major problem, and I wouldn't even support that in a free market, because it's unsustainable. As you say, the bloody irony. Can't grill the grill, as you say. It's the same with the UK. They opened their doors to immigration during the Blair era because of the state pension crisis, because of the life expectancy increasing. Exactly, mate. You're absolutely spot on what you say, and it's a scary thing with Because our economy right now, looking at the state of it, just look at the state of it, and even after that lockdown that accelerated the recession forward, it's not even a nice thing to even think about. And our deficit will be sky high now because of that whole issue. So there's going to need to be drastic measures now taken by our government. They have to actually start doing something. That I heard recently that, they've now sent out the Navy, the British Navy, to deal with the problem with the immigrants flooding across illegally, and they've been taking up hotels and everything. I heard that apparently they got a tour of Liverpool Stadium. That's not even that's not even something that even Liverpool supporters would get. They would have to pay for something like that, and they're getting things, luxury. And what's that message sending out to the others? Well, what are those immigrants going to do? They're going to contact the others and say, "Oh, look what we're getting." They're sending out the sort of message. Here's what you get in Britain. No wonder taxpayers. No wonder taxpayers are pissed off. It's just unreal. I had that, obviously my ma had pointed that out to me earlier on. I just get, I can't even believe my eyes with some things. It's unreal. Yeah. As you say, Fury Appeal, what do you think about healthcare vouchers? I've heard about that, but I think there's a better alternative. And here's the thing, right? Because I'm pretty sure Josh Umber mentioned this himself. I'm pretty sure Josh Umber mentioned that within a free market healthcare system, you would have free market charitable built hospitals. What that means is that up and down the entire country, you would have hospitals that purely run and finance off the back of charity. Now, see if anybody says to you that would never work, turn and point them in the direction of Cancer Research UK. It's purely financed off the back of people's charitable, money, right? And it works. That's not the reason why cancer. That's not the reason why cancers get such bad treatment, because it's not down to the Cancer Research UK. The reason why cancers get such a bad treatment rate is down to the NHS itself, the operation of the NHS, the system itself. So that that's how in a free market you would have charitable built hospitals. And I should have mentioned that in the video. Charitable built hospitals, plenty of them built up and down the entire country. And what that would do, it would give complete free access to those who might not have any income, and would have complete access to that until they are working and whatever. And that's basically how things would go. And like I explained obviously before. So again, thanks for the comments and everything. I'm going to now speak about, I should have been, the moneyless economy thing. Now, I came across some post on Facebook, and it was something to do with this idea in India that's been practiced. But here's the issue. These were people, and if it was moneyless, it's a bit strange, right? These were people that were producing things and exporting it, which is part and parcel to do with capitalism in that regard. So they're dependent upon capitalism, right? Which was a very odd and strange thing. But it was just a small group of people. Now, the whole utopia of this moneyless economy thing, see if you put, and it's just like in Israel. Israel had what you call, or does still have, the kibbutz, and I've mentioned this before, because in Israel they've got the kibbutz system, and even Yaron Brook, who was born in Israel, he mentions himself that the whole thing is a disaster. It doesn't work right. But I do I do apologise. But yes, the kibbutz system doesn't work, as Yaron Brook mentioned. and that's the issue. It would never work in a full blown economy. Like, say for example, something the size of Britain, where you've got 65 million people, in England, and 70 million in total, and if you've got a large scale population, it doesn't work out right. You know, it doesn't work out right. Because that's the issue. Actually, because my phone's on silent. I don't know why. Anyway, I was just responding to a message there. But the whole thing that I'm obviously explaining to you is the fact that you would never be able to put that onto a full scale economy where you've got large scale resources and everything. You've got, you know, hundreds and hundreds of products, and if you can imagine, obviously in a full scale economy where there's millions and millions of products, you need to know where you're allocating resources, right? Because that's the issue. You can't, you wouldn't get away with it if you understand what I'm trying to say to you. Because you're faced with the economic calculation problem, you're faced with the knowledge problem, like I've explained. And if folk don't understand the economic calculation problem, please go and watch my video. You know, that is something that's so vitally important that you need to understand. The economic calculation problem is probably one of the most important things that you could get to grips with, right? Because it explains the very reason for why socialism is a failure. It's the reason. It's one of or arguably one of the biggest reasons, and it destroys even the mixed economy argument, because, you know, the misallocation of resources, and you can't afford to just misallocate resources, because then you're sacrificing. Because, like I says, economics has trade-offs, and if you put resources into production of producing something that's of waste, you're basically at the same time neglected the material wealth of others. So that's what we mean by trade-offs. You know, it's just like that whole thing I explained there. As you said, Craig, I think the pandemic has given the government even more power to punish the people, with more taxes and prices on most things going up. It's a scary thing, mate, and I completely agree with you. You know, I sympathise, obviously, you know, with folk in this country who obviously work hard and everything. And there was one, I shared the post, obviously, like I said, and I don't know if you saw it, mate. It was the post that I shared that showed, I think it was Amazon, or no, it was online, sorry. It was online shopping, and what they're now going to be doing is they're going to be taxing people on, is it transport of goods? They're going to be, you know, taxing people on what they spend online. I mean, that's ridiculous. You know what I mean? That it shouldn't be a case. And why are they doing it? Why is government doing it? Well, they're trying to force people to go out in the shops and spend. And that's, government's always been a problem in that regard, doesn't it? It doesn't matter what government it is. Government should have no power whatsoever to dictate to people where they spend their money. No power whatsoever. They shouldn't ever have the power to do that. And see when government interferes in that regard, and they start taxing people in one area to try and force them to spend in another area, that misallocates resources elsewhere. You understand what I'm saying? Because then they're spending in these specific shops. And you get my point. They that's why I never agree with government, but you're absolutely spot on with what you say there about the taxes and the prices and everything. It doesn't look good at all. The taxes for online shopping, and I just, you know, it's sad. It really is sad. For me, the solution the real solution to our problems in our economy today, the solution should be a free market, should be freeing up the economy. And don't get me wrong, there's one thing they did right I just saw recently, and I shared it actually just the other night there. It was something today with the UK government has began deregulation in something in order to create more jobs. I think, what was it? Was it manufacturing or something? It was something. I can't remember. I shared the post the other night and it was on Facebook, and they deregulated. Let me just check quickly because it'll be doing my timeline or something. I do apologise, folk. It'll be kicking about there somewhere. I for some odd reason I don't think I can see it. I'm sure I shared that. I'm positive I did. Maybe I didn't. He's deregulated something. I don't see it for some odd reason. But he's done something that deregulated a particular thing, and it's going to create more jobs and that. That's it. Sorry, I found it. He says we're cutting red tape so that we can build, and I think it's in relation, as it says, the current planning system wastes time and taxpayers' money. That's why we're going to cut the red tape, overhaul the planning process, and build better, greener homes faster. Now, the thing that I don't like, right, I agree with cutting the red tape and all the rest of it and build homes faster and stuff like that, right? I think that's important. I do hope that they control the immigration to a degree, however, but the thing that I agree with on that front is obviously the building the homes faster, right? Deregulating, and obviously that's the way our economy should be going, right? But what I don't agree with, and this is the part that's going to push, people's costs of living up. It's going to, put on more taxes on folk. It's this word greener, right? Greener. Because they've been telling folk a pack of lies on the front of this climate change, right? And it's no joke that they have. It's been one big scam on folk, on the hard-working people in this country and elsewhere. Because let's take for example electric motors. They want what was it? By 2030, we'll have all the electric motors and stuff like that. Well, very good. Electric motors, fantastic. But hold on a wee second here. Electric motors emit a greater quantity of CO2 than your normal motors. So, really all they're doing is they're again reallocating production and wasting more resources, wasting more money, when they should just leave the market be. And again, they just cause so much trouble, and it's frustrating, But that was a post I wanted to get obviously across to yourselves. I do apologise. I was actually searching a bit for that there, but they should be leaving it be. If I missed any wee comments here, 2 seconds, I'll just check Facebook. That's it. So this is the comments, as you mentioned. Taxes for online shop. I got that. What sector of the economy would you start? Well, this is the thing. See, in terms of the stuff today with each part of the economy and deregulating, just like that of getting building houses faster and stuff. They need to take all that red tape off of people's backs. That's how you create jobs. Because here's the reason why. When you free up the economy from all the government regulation, it creates more economic freedom for businesses to create jobs. So it then creates the liberty for big business and even smaller businesses to employ more people, to produce more, to innovate more, to basically have the luxury and freedom of creating business without having to jump through all the loops of government's red tape. That's why years ago, and I don't know if it's still the same today, but in Hong Kong, they could start up a business the same day and it would be up and running tomorrow, right? Their business would be like that. They'd be able to just start up business and that's it, their business is going, right? Whereas in the United Kingdom, you would have to go through all the paperwork and everything just for the sake of trying to start up business. You know, and you're going through, not just the case of all the red tape and everything, you're having to go through all the taxes and everything, and you're struggling just to start up private business. And that's just for small business owners, whereas the free market, it's much easier. It's much more, you know, straightforward in that regard, and I would say that's been where one of the biggest problems has been, you know, and they need to free the economy from all that government regulation, get the government regulation off of people's backs, and what that does is it then creates a more competitive economy that drives prices down, and it's because smaller businesses can't compete with the big corporations. And why is it the small businesses can't compete with the big corporations? It's because of the government's regulation. That's what created the monopolies. When government regulation over-regulated, let's take for example the big supermarket giants in the United Kingdom. The big supermarket chains, they dominate the market. And as a result of them dominating the market, they've created what you call a collusion. A collusion means they've come together and they get to basically shaft the farmers. Now, as you know, the farmers heavily depend upon, obviously, the big supermarket chains in order for the farmers to produce and then sell their food to the big supermarket chains. But what are the supermarket? What are the big conglomerate? What are the big supermarket chains doing? They're basically saying, you reduce your prices to the farmers. They're saying you reduce your prices of selling to us, and then we'll take from you. And the farmers get no choice but to do it. So the farmers are actually being exploited, right? The farmers are being exploited, and the farmers get no choice but to live by that. Why is that? Because the big supermarket chains can easily turn to elsewhere. They can easily turn to foreign countries and import food from elsewhere. So the farmers have got no choice. You know that they've been exploited to reduce their prices. But why was it that the big supermarket chains became so dominant? Why was it they gained a collusion? They gained that because government's regulation had created that problem, because competition isn't there. So what happened is, when you deregulate and you take the regulation away and you allow, you know, free market competition, that collusion is destroyed and competition ends up forcing, prices to go down, prices go down, consumer quality goes up, and obviously the farmers are then no longer exploited by them. And that's what created that problem. It's sad, because that's how our systems, the whole thing's created. It's a horrible thing. It's not a nice thing at all. As you said, Nathan Flynn, do you although being a libertarian, believe in an NHS, and if you do, or why not? Right, let me explain something, Nathan, right? Here's the reason why the NHS could never rival the free market, right? What's the NHS based off of? From its foundations, it was based off of political centralisation, which defines socialism, right? Political centralisation, where you take the whole healthcare system, centralise it, and it's planned, controlled by government. And what does nationalisation entail? It entails government price controls. Part of this government price control that you can see is the free at the point of use, right? You see it, it's called free at the point of use, but what is that free at the point of use? The free at the point of use is basically government having artificially removed the price, but the real cost of healthcare is out of control, right? But that's not the major issue. When they set down the so-called free at the point of use, they've destroyed the information of profits and losses. If you don't hold the information of profits and losses, there's no information there to operate the economy efficiently. Now, I explained about profits and losses in another economic calculation problem video. Again, I've got that on my Facebook as well, I've got it on my YouTube, you can definitely check it out, but briefly, to help you understand, profits and losses are important. They're price signals. Profits and losses are information that can only be gathered by consumers' demand. Therefore, it's got nothing to do with any centralised system. Basically socialism, because socialism's defined by political centralisation, you know, universal healthcare, and it's defined by economic central planning. You know, in other words, government centrally plans healthcare, right? That's socialism. So since government centrally plans it, it centrally plans prices, the consumer's not driving prices. So there's no information there of consumer driven prices, right? So profits and losses are gone. So what information do you gather from profits and losses? Profits tells the market what the consumers want, right? It tells the producer, therefore, since they know what consumers are buying most of, right? Since they know what consumers are buying most of, it tells the producer what to produce more of, right? Because after all, you know, consumers are going into shops, they're buying goods, even if it's healthcare, they're going and they're buying that specific thing, and whatever the market can see is being bought most of, that's what the profits are. So the producer then knows, okay, here in the market is what we're selling most of, therefore we know what to produce more of, therefore we know what resources to use more of, therefore we know where the resources are going to be allocated. We're not just going to use resources and overproduce a resource and put a resource into a part of the market that people aren't buying in. You see what I'm saying? But that's the problem. Because through the NHS, the government's removed that. The government's completely destroyed the information of profits and losses. So if you've got no information of profits and losses, you've no way of operating anything efficiently. There's no information of profits and losses, and information of profits and losses basically is consumers' demand. That's why whenever you hear someone say to you, oh, it's a for-profit system, as if that's a bad thing, they don't understand what profits are. Profits aren't just something you fill your pockets with and voila, that's it. Profits aren't just something, oh, you know, the evil greedy capitalists, they just fill in their pockets and that's it, and they're gaining profits out of people. No. Profits is information telling you what the consumer wants. So what do you think losses are? Losses tell the market what to stop producing, where to stop allocating scarce resources, what to stop investing in, and of course where to stop allocating, etc. So that's why profits and losses are so important, because that's what enables efficiency. So the point I'm getting at, the NHS is a centralised system. It's universal, because that is, you know, if something's universal, it's more or less talking about something that's centralised, right? So this is why the NHS could never work in a month of Sundays. The reason the free market works is because the free market not only has fierce competition, right? The free market allows for failure, right? Failure in the economy is not a bad thing. Let me explain to you. In a free market economy, you're not guaranteed success. Business is not guaranteed success, right? That's the wrong way of running an economy. Because if you try to guarantee success, you're going to end up with failure. Let me explain. Take, for example, today's economy, where they keep on propping failure up by bailing it out through taxpayers' money. In other words, all they're doing is they're throwing money at a bottomless pit. They're throwing money at inefficiency. They're throwing money at a failure. And is failure ever going to learn from its mistakes if you keep rewarding it? No. You don't give a dog a doggy biscuit for if it's misbehaved, do you? You don't give, kids a reward if they've misbehaved. Well, it's no different in the economy. Why then would you prop failure up and throw money and reward it for being a failure and trying to prevent a failure? You don't. In the free market, you leave failure to liquidate. Or, of course, before the liquidation process, a more competent business owner can buy over them and teach them a lesson and teach them how you run business. And when someone fails in business, it's not the end of them. If anything, it's the start of them. If anything, it's a case that they will learn from their mistakes. They'll say, right, here's where I went wrong. So now I'm going to learn from my mistakes and I'm going to, correct that. So what the free market does, even with regards to healthcare, the private providers in healthcare who are incompetent, they would be left to face liquidation eventually, and consumers would turn away from them. The consumers would go towards, those they can trust. So you tend to find the businesses that survive are those who are the most efficient. And if you're efficient, the only way you can become successful as a private business within a free market is if you're providing a service for the consumers. In other words, if the consumers trust you. And also because you've got competition, it forces you to continue driving down your prices. See, that's the point. With the free, Daniel Hannan explained it best. It's a bit like weeding your garden, right? It's like weeding your garden. You get rid of all the dead wood. In other words, the businesses that are incompetent, you let them fail, you get rid of them. And it allows room for newer, more efficient industry to come through. Just like that in healthcare. The failure goes under, the newer, more efficient, better industry comes through. And what does that leave? It leaves top quality healthcare, because that's what the consumer is left with. Because then the consumer is left with a choice of the best providers, the best quality. Unlike today's system where, for example, you've got a government-run monopoly, because that's what nationalisation is. If you've got a government-run monopoly of healthcare, well, what follows with that of a monopoly? What follows with the monopoly is poor quality of healthcare. And all that's happening with the NHS is you're left with a situation where you're constantly throwing money at something that just isn't working. And it hasn't just been a case that, oh well, this is just something new. It's been going on for, decades. It's been going on since the 1950s. Same problems. Long waiting lines. Shortage of staff. Along comes the 1960s. I've even showed the articles. 1960s. Again, shortage of staff. Long waiting lines. Shortage of hospital beds. This was even before I was born. 1970s. Again, before I was even born. Again, the same problems. The long waiting lines. The shortage of staff. The shortage of hospital beds. Along comes Margaret Thatcher. Now, she understood the NHS was a failure. The NHS had to have been bailed out before Thatcher became Prime Minister. Again, more money was flung at the problem. Oh, we'll just fling more money at the problem. This was the 1970s, by the way. Fling more money at the problem. That'll fix it. It doesn't. That doesn't fix problems. Why does it not fix problems? Because you're rewarding failure. You wouldn't give a doggy biscuit if it's behaved badly, poorly, would you? Of course you wouldn't. So why would you do that with anything like how you run healthcare, etc.? You don't. So, and that's been the problem. Again, you go throughout the 1980s, you go throughout the 1990s, you go into the 2000s, you go into the 2010s, right up to today. What have you been seeing? What was their excuses this time? Oh, the NHS is just underfunded. It doesn't have enough money. What? What? You what? It just it just doesn't have enough money. What are you talking about? It doesn't have enough money. How can they turn around and say to you, oh, it just doesn't have enough money? They've been flinging money at the problem since I was born. Before I was born. They've been flinging money at the NHS. And I've even pointed out the NHS budget, for crying out loud. It would make you laugh, because these excuses have been the same o'er and o'er. And this is the thing, because, like I say, look at that of the... Look at that of the free market model, the direct primary care system I spoke about. Not the main American healthcare market, the direct primary care system, right? They are getting, right, for those who are subscribed by membership to the direct primary care system, they're getting 24/7 healthcare, right? They're getting most of their healthcare needs met, right? Their everyday health needs met. The only things part of that membership that the membership doesn't cover is the more serious issues, which the remaining health insurance covers, right? Which is, the more serious issues, as I mentioned. But in this free market model, it's taken away most of that health insurance, and what they've done is they've set down a subscription, fee. So like Josh Schumber explained, $10 a month for kids. What's that in pounds? That's like £7 a month or something. Right, £7 a month. And 50 for most adults, he says something that he charges about $50 a month. $50. I mean, what's that? It's about is that about 35 to about 40 odd pounds a month? That's like the cost of a gym membership. And what do they get access? Well, here's the issue with the NHS, as I explained. When you set down something called free at the point of use, you face quality deterioration, because not only do the best doctors end up leaving the country, right? The best doctors end up leaving because quality goes down, but also doctors are spending fewer time per patient because they've got a massive backlog to get through. They can't get through everybody, right? So because they can't get through everybody, then there's that entire issue, right? Of course, and that's where the problem is, right? So they can't afford to get through everybody, right? There's a massive backlog. That's why they were contracting it to private companies. So since they can't get through everybody, they're spending fewer time per patient. So here's an example. There's a guy at my gym, right? He phoned for a doctor, right? For a doctor's appointment, right? He get passed around goodness knows what, right? Just to try and get through to a doctor, right? All the layers of government, in other words, right? Trying to just get a hold of a doctor for a doctor's appointment, right? And he had to go through all the process. See, in the end, he was told he has to wait 62 weeks just to see about his back. 62 weeks. 62 weeks just to see about his back, right? And it's a very serious issue, right? And the issue with the whole thing with his back is the fact that when he sees his doctor, right? When he goes to see his doctor, then there's no guarantee he's going to spend a lot of time with his doctor, because his doctor's got so many other folk to see through. Give a minute. I'm just going to quickly read through some other message. Right, I'll so, like I says, folk, about healthcare, right? The whole the whole thing is that whole issue. Doctors are not going to spend that length of time because they've got so many others to get through. And it's like, Thomas Sowell had mentioned about a young lassie that's going to, that was going to get a boob job done, and she was going to be seen to first before that of a somebody that's got cancer. And by the time the fact that the doctor got to see, obviously, the cancer patient. So here's the point, right? Don't listen to people who use the excuse about the lockdown. Those problems with the NHS and its neglect, it's just your luck. It's your luck, right? You're riding your luck. See, if you've got serious problems and you need to be seen to, it's your luck, right? It's because of the massive strain that the NHS has been going through. You're very lucky if you can be seen to there and then. Very lucky, because there's a lot of folk who have been left in neglect, and it's a very sad thing. And for me, the free market operates where you go directly to what you want in the market. So for example, if you've got heart problems, you go directly to that specialist, and you get seen to, directly for what you're looking for. So it's not just this big conglomerate that's put onto one system. You're actually gone directly to an actual specialist who deals in that part of in that part of healthcare. An actual specialist that deals, with people who have got heart problems, and you would go directly to that part. So what it does, it massively reduces wait times, right? So in other words, you'd be seeing two there and then. Don't get me wrong, the main American healthcare market's pretty decent with wait times and stuff like that, and it's always been a case that it's more down to the cost that's the main issue, but the free market really would, vastly improve that. That's the point that I was trying to obviously get across to you. But aye. So I don't know, obviously, if I missed out some comments and that, I do apologise. I was just trying to think me, but the moneyless based economy, as I was saying, I mean, that's just, it's ludicrous, because if you've got a massive economy, first and foremost, people want to work for a wage, right? They want to, you see that because people are demanding a higher paid wage, so you can obviously see that, right? So that's just something that obviously you can understand yourself. And the other part of that is, it's a case that you need the money for obviously allocating resources and whatnot. So I don't know if you've got any other questions, folk, or that. I do apologise. This is like the first time I've actually managed to get this whole Restream thing going. I at least managed to get that all sorted, and I'm happy I managed to sort all that, but I don't know what's wrong with this. It's this thing here. It just, I'll show you. It's this thing here. I don't know why it's coming up saying that, because this box here, right, is supposed to be where you're able to see the comments and stuff like that, right? Because as you see, comments and reactions, but nothing's showing up there. So I'm going to have to do research into that. It's eCamm Live or something. I don't know if any of you guys know anything about it. This is obviously my like, it's gone through Restream. Okay, so at least I've got something there that I can obviously, go through, and aye, you understand what I'm obviously saying. So, if you've got any other comments or that, then obviously I'll get through it. But it's so bloody frustrating, because the great thing about this software is, folk, I'm able to drag your comments up on screen, right? So it would pop up down the bottom here, like down here somewhere, right? I think down here somewhere the comment would pop up, and I can actually respond to you directly there. Therefore, people can read your actual comment and that. You know what I mean? That's what I want to. That's what I want to do, and I want to get that prepared for when I'm doing the live stream with Mike. But I don't know what's wrong with it. I don't understand it. I mean, before, because I had a live feed going, as I says, and it came up, and I was speaking to folk on the Facebook, and it says it had an error or something like that, and I don't know. I don't know where it's playing at. And for me, that comments thing should be automatically connected. Is it because I'm using live stream? The Restream or something like that? But I don't think that should affect that. You know what I mean? No idea, folk. I'm lost with it all. The other good thing about the software is, though, they've got some mad wee things, like, for example, let me see if I can drag something up, folk, right? I'm going to see if I can drag something up. Give us a second. It'll just be a picture, right? But if I can drag stuff up, man, and I can even create second screens where I can obviously show you the actual screen, and my main cam thing will pop up the bottom, so that's good. I'm happy with all that. So some exciting stuff. I'll just use one of my pictures for photography or something, right? And I'll just go into resources. Like, I'll just take one picture, a photograph that I made. Well, obviously one of my photographs. Obviously, because it might take a bit of length of time. Here's one. See if this pops up on the screen. Is it gonna? Aye, it's popped up on the screen. So that's a a useful thing. But now I need to work out how you remove it. Right, so I've got it up on the screen. That was a photograph I took, by the way, when I was up. It was during the sunset and everything, and I want to actually get that printed in a full thingy. I would love to get that printed in acrylic. It would be expensive, but you know, if I can figure out how you actually thingy the that's great. I've put it up now. No, hang on. Ah, that's it. That's not bad, man. I can actually, so it's a wee icon or something that can pop up. That's great. I'm happy with that. So I'll probably even use that with my photography channel. I know one. Gives a second. This one will actually go away. In fact, before I do, I'll quickly drag up another picture, just another wee photograph, and then I'll go to the other folder, if I can bloody find it. That is. I actually got this all printed into my photo book. Where the hell is it, man? Where did I? Right, it's around there somewhere. But I folk, I mean, obviously, if you've got any other questions that you would like to ask us, then feel free to fire away, and I'll obviously get to your comments. You know what I mean? I think this picture's stoating a bit somewhere. I'll probably be up the top. If I can find it. How come I always, when I want to find something, it's just doesn't seem to appear? Why is that? That is frustrating. It was something historical as well. I photographed it, of course, and for whatever reason being, it's just kicking about somewhere that I just can't see, and it's bugging the life out me. Ah, there you go, folk. Did you know that was actually bombed in the Second World War? But there you go. So part of that's actually the original Roman bridge, the entry to Verona. But I just thought I'd quickly show you that anyway. So see, once I actually figure out obviously how all this operates and stuff like that, like you can see, I mean, I'll show you again. Once I actually get used to how you actually function this thing, and I'll probably, when I'm offline, I'll probably fiddle through and I'll get things ready. I might even add in my own sounds, because you can even, you can hear this. I mean, when obviously someday, for example, that I might agree with, you hear that? Yeah, there you go. And obviously I've got this mad wee. I'll probably be using that one for socialists. But it's handy that I've got these wee things, and I can even add in my own sounds. But more specific to the topic, if I just go back, I go back into the other folder, and there is graphics. And this is the great thing, man. This is the beauty about this thing. Here you go, folk. You see that? There's the health budget that's been increasing that I was speaking about. There you go. that is what I love about this thing, man. That's why you know, that's the very reason why I thingied this thing. You know, and I can even show you on screen. This is great. I don't know if I can select more than one. No, I can't. I've got one here, right, and you can see that. Oh, and I can even drag it about the screen and all, which is good. So, I'm chuffed with that, man. So you can see the NHS budget's like been through the roof, and cut my hair off at the top. But there you go, 1958. You can see it yourself. You see it says across there. Look. Longer wait times. Look. Longer wait times. This is 1958. See? 1958. See that, folk? There you go. So that's the great thing about this thing. I just obviously wanted to do a test run of everything first and foremost, more than, you know, to get everything going. And once I've got everything sorted, then great. And as Craig had mentioned, greener equals cost. Precisely, it's going to cost a lot. And that was actually the main reason why the prices of why they're pushing the costs up on, you know, stuff when people are buying online. It's just it's out of order, and it's all because of, what do you call them, Extinction Rebellion. You've probably seen them protesting, you know. That was frustrating. As you said, shameless self-promoter. Hiya, Scotty. Indeed. Always good to see yourself, Anant. But I'm glad I've got all this sorted and I can obviously get through. Now, one thing that I don't know yet, and I'm a bit clueless on, is when it comes to, like, when I do the live stream with Mike, is how I get two screens up in the one thingy. Again, I'm going to have to look through the videos on YouTube and look for a YouTuber who actually shows you how you operate the actual software. Because I don't know. I'm kind of new to it all, and you saw earlier on, you know, I was trying to figure things out, and I couldn't. There's certain things like the comments section down here for some odd reason. I'd like to get that sorted, because that would be pretty cool to be able to just drag somebody's comment across and show it up on the screen. So instead of me just reading it, you can read it yourself. You know what I mean? But it's a bit of a pain in the backside that I can't even do that. Frustrating. Let me check Facebook, because obviously, no, that's it. I think I've thingied all comments and stuff like that. But I appreciated as always, folk. As always. See, the thing is with Facebook is the fact that when you live stream to them, then they just kind of, well, let's just say they shadow ban. And I wouldn't even be surprised if they did the same thing on YouTube and that. You know, and I'm no joking to you. Here's something I've got to point out to you folk, right? And I've you know, when it came down to the whole thing, let's see if I can bring up my analytics. The thing that's really frustrating is my analytics, right? My views have been stuck at 7.3k, right? My views. Now I thought, okay, a few videos that, you know, maybe it'll just be like that, right? But see, ever since I posted something, because I can obviously, you know, create a post on Facebook, right? And it'll take me to my community, under the community tab, and I'll post a thing, and people will respond to, because it'll go out to my subscribers and stuff like that, right? I did that, right? But see, since then I posted it was an analytics thing that I shared showing my monthly views, comparing the April 2016 to current date, right? I think it was last month I had shared that. See, since I had shared that, it seems like I'm a bit suspicious, but it seems like it's went stagnant. Right? I don't know why it's stuck at 7.3k, and I've been putting out new content. The healthcare videos seem to have, struggled a bit. Fair enough. I'm not going to thing me at the moment. I'm just going to judge over a longer period of time. But it's ridiculous if this is the case. By the way, I'm just saying that to you now, just to give you the heads up. That pisses me off, if that is the case. You know yourself with big tech. That's the reason why I'm also in Parlour, and I wish you guys, like any of you don't even need to be into politics and stuff like that. I wish you guys would obviously go across if you did get the chance. You know what I mean? Because we need more people on free speech platforms and stuff. That's solely what the internet's needing. Because right now, see the likes of Google and that, they all hold this monopoly. Pretty much, I think they own about 90%. And it's a pain in the backside. But, I've been trying to put out content. I can just show you just for the screen here. I don't even need to screenshot it. Right? There you go. It's kind of thing me there at the moment, right? It's kind of stuck there at the moment. So, and then, so you can obviously see here unique viewers, and unique viewers is obviously your actual number of viewers or something, which is pretty decent, So I'll judge all the course of this month and see how that goes, right? But right now at the moment in time, and this is already into the new month and stuff, so I'll be able to really tell this month whether I'm being fucked over by YouTube, right? I'll be able to tell that. Don't know what's currently happening at the moment, but like I says, I'll get around to doing the videos that you requested me today, and I'll put out the new content, and we'll see what happens. But I'm kind of skeptical at the moment of what they're doing, because I don't trust it. You've even been seeing Stefan Molyneux was removed for YouTube, and then you seen somebody else was removed. Quite a number of people, and I'm not happy with all that. I'm not happy with the way things have gone. That's all I've got to say to you folk, right? And I don't know if you're on it or not, right? I don't know if you guys are on it, right? And what I should add in, if you guys are on BitChute, also be sure to subscribe to me on there. And if you guys are on Library, I don't know if you've heard of Library, it's LBRY, right? Library is like a decentralized platform, right? It's like the way BitTorrents used to operate, where you used to get the music and stuff like that, where if you watch a video, it automatically downloads into your kind of downloads folder or something. But you guys can easily follow me on there and all, and I can obviously share my videos and stuff on there. So you can also subscribe to me there if you guys have got a Library account, and it's under my same name, Libertarian Views Scotty M, and you can also follow me on that platform. Like I said, with BitChute as well. I'll need to upload more of my more recent videos to BitChute to ensure that all that gets backed up, because I don't trust, so what I mean is the fact that at least now, see all my videos, they automatically get transferred over to that of Library, so that if they delete my channel, I don't think those videos on Library go anywhere. I think they're just there, and anybody that watches the videos, it automatically gets downloaded onto their hard drive and stuff like that. So that obviously they can reshare and stuff, and that's the that's the beauty about library. It's something. It's like open source. You know what I mean? It's proper. It's more free market, and I like that. It's no like what you've got here, kind of like a kind of centralized system, top down, and you get where I'm coming from, folk. You know what I mean? It's bloody frustrating. Let's see in the comments. I was joking about you showing your photos. Great photos, by the way. Thank you. That's greatly appreciated. The photograph. Gives just a second, right? Just gives a second. So obviously, during the lockdown, right? During the lockdown, I was obviously doing something productive because I wanted to get my documentary photo book created, and obviously I got that made up. So there was one photograph that I was obviously going to show, but I couldn't really see it anywhere else on the drive. So it's part of my portfolio that I can obviously show to potential clients for any landscape stuff or that, you know what I mean? But that's the photograph. I created the entire book myself, the design and everything, using Photoshop. It took me a lot of hard work. You can see acrylics like as beautiful. You can see there how thick the acrylic is and that. So that's the thing. The photograph that I was talking about. I'll try to find me. We want. It's further into the book. I'll drag it up. Because I created it in such a way that it would tell a story. Because when I took all the photographs and that, I wanted to do it in such a way that would tell a story, and I'd put in all the writing and everything. And obviously, I had time spent. I even get my ma to look over, the wording and everything, to get the wording and all the rest of it correct. Like, for example, I added in, I don't know if you can see, I can hold it right. Hang on. If I can hold it right. You can see there. It's a glossy finish, you know what I mean? If I can hold it up, you can obviously see the book, right? It's difficult for me to actually show you. The one picture that's in here, and so there it is. It's Mal Chesney. If I can turn it round. Get it up. You can see, can't you? Aye. So I tried to get that up on the screen, but either way, I still haven't actually sat down and looked through the book actual proper and read through it, just as a double check and everything like that. But I'm just happy enough I managed to get it done. That's the main thing. because that's what I'm a photographer. As you said, Craig, going to pop off, Scott, but we'll definitely tune into your next live feed, mate. Keep up the good work, buddy. Thank you, I do greatly appreciate it, as always, Craig. Much appreciated, mate. And Anon, as you said, I jumped in about 10 minutes ago. It sounds like you're giving up on YouTube. To be honest with you, mate, I mean, I'm trying my hardest. I'm knocking my box in with this. You know, I thought to myself, you know, this time when I get over 7,000, I'm going to really push, and if there comes that wee spell where it's full stagnant, I'm going to keep on pushing, see where it goes. That's kind of where I'm at the moment. But there really is just something suspicious. I mean, how many videos have I posted since that? 3, 4 videos, and it's barely even touched anything. And the month finished off about 7,700 views, right? So we're now into the new month. We're now into August. So how come when I put out a new video there, it's still sitting at 7,300? What's that all about? Because I know how you know, the system works. Usually it's the end of the month, things are stagnant. Fair enough, okay. But it's rather suspicious with that whole thing. I'm no happy with the way things are going at the moment. Put it that way. I'm rather suspicious of what they're doing, because I'm trying to grow, you know, I'm trying to reach out to more people. And usually when you put out a new video, like into a new month and stuff like that, and you put out a new video, your views might jump up 100 or 200 views, so it might go to 7.5k, and then it will build up and it'll go over 8,000. But I'll be able to tell, see when I'm putting out new content this month, if it doesn't go over 8,000, I know they're at it. Right? It isn't a case of anything else. I know they're at it. I've been gaining subscribers on my BitChute, however, you know, and that's thing I'm happy with. I'm near about 200 odd subscribers on BitChute, but it doesn't change the fact that they're you know yourself that they're shadow banning and stuff like that. So that's what does my nutting. I'm no happy with all that sort of stuff. It's just frustrating. It's irritating, so to speak. So I'll definitely get things sorted and that, and I'll continue to put out new content. So like I says, I mean, finish Bolshevik, I'll get onto doing a response video on that soon enough. What have I got here? Just to quickly bring up to you guys, I'll show you what I've got in my list, right, and what I'll do is I'll put it up on the screen so that you guys can see it, right? Hang on, if I can get the right thing here. And I'll bring it up on the screen for you guys so that you can see it. Righty, no. Should be easy enough to just to bring up in my live chat and you'll see it. Click that, go to the desktop. It should be, aye, that's it. There you go, folk. You can see my thingy here. There you go, guys. Right, you can see it. It says here, I'm considering doing the Georgism one, you know what I mean? But I'm no, because I don't have the knowledge. I can't say I've got the knowledge yet of what this Georgism is all about. But it's quite interesting with the land value tax, I must admit, right? And it's something I'll obviously have to look into and whatever. I know Rothbard made an argument. I think it was him. Made an argument on that. There's quite a few here. Let's see. I mean, it says a watch history of other, yeah, I think that was one that was recommended. I think debunk Navara Media on fully automated luxury communism. That was one I was going to, I was thinking of doing next. I'm not entirely sure. And of course I got done Azuri Scapegoat on how democracy works in Cuba. So that was one I was obviously considering. Obviously I've got one listed here. I think that was something on Game for Corbin, or that was one that I was recommended to thing me before. I've just not got around to it yet, and somebody else mentioned I've got it listed down somewhere else. I think it was Arsh, I can't even remember. Some name that I was asked to do a response on. I think I don't know whether to classify that mainstream media one as just purely down to the Black Lives Matter one. I've got one done, one recommendation. I was to do a response on. It was some guy, and he's called F1 or something, F1 game or something like that, and he was going on about Black Lives Matter and this Lewis Hamilton, and he was wanting me to do a sort of response on that, my friend, and whatever. So you can see there, folk, I've got a good few listed here, and obviously the Finnish Bolshevik one I've got listed down there as well, as I said. I just need to look through it, and obviously, like I says, another one that was recommended to me was that Vicky 1999's video, Why is Capitalism Bad? So that's another unit I'm going to get around to doing for you guys. As I says, I mean, there's a good few there, and folk, look, I've got a good list there, right? Don't hesitate to make any more recommendations. Don't hesitate. Please fire away. If the more the better, because then I've got a big option, a list, and I've got, the more that I've got, fantastic. That I can continue and putting out the content, because I'm not going to let that thing drag me down. No, this time, no, this time I'm not. I'm going to keep pushing and see if I can get above that 7,000 mark, get over 8,000, because the highest point I was at before everything went wrong, the highest point I got to was, in fact, I don't even know if I can bring it up in the screen for you guys. Let me see if I can. I would need to see if I can add a screen, because then I would be able to show you my analytics, because somebody was asking me about that, just as I remembered. So I'm not sure how to add a screen. I'm not sure. Okay, it's a bit iffy. I don't know how to do it. She's getting used to all this, man. And then there's the groups, and it's just, the whole thing's a bit baffling at the moment. Yeah, I've no idea how I actually get around doing it. Because what you can do is you can create a screen that shows you your actual screen, but there's just so much that I'm going to have to try and learn with this, and I don't think I can figure it out yet. I'm kind of lost with it, to be honest with you. Just kind of frustrating. Camera, nah, it's not that. Okay. I'm going to have to learn it, folk. See, what I can do is I can obviously have the main cam sit down at the bottom corner, sit down at the bottom corner here, where it's me talking, and you get to see me on the screen, and I was going to show you my, what do you call it, my analytics, right, and I was going to show you the thing that I was talking about, but nah, it was working earlier on, but I can't even see it now. It just doesn't seem to want to show up. It's just popping up, copying the. Cause here's the box here, right? See, when I go up to here, it's this wee box here at the side, right? So you've got one here, right? It's called default, and the default is basically, oops, it looks funny. Right, the default is basically this cam, right? This cam here. That's the default, where it's just me talking, right? You can actually create a default, a secondary camera. You can click, and it takes you to show you, you using your screen, and that's what I was trying to bring up, and I don't even know what I'm doing right now. So, frustrating. Hold on a second. I think I've worked it out. Screen. I'll just call it screencast. Who cares what it's called? I think I've figured it out. Hang on. Have I done it right now? Oh, God's sake, man. Crop split screen. No, it doesn't seem to want to. Let me take this thing down at the moment. That is so frustrating. Like, I just wanted to show, and it's just like, oh, hang on. No, it's not working. God, why does it have to be so difficult? See, that's it. It's just everything with this software, man. It's like it isn't something you can just kick on and figure out, and at least I managed to at least get the live stream going. That's it, and talk to you guys. I'll need to figure out the comments, and I'll need to figure out how to get that screen thing going. Because that would be amazing if I could get that working. But for what I can see here, it doesn't want me to it doesn't. I can also click a countdown timer and click a countdown timer inside this thing as well. It's like, for whatever reason I would want to use that. Oh fuck, I'm pressing the wrong things here. No, I don't want to. I want to click out of that. Fucking hell, man. Fucking hell, man. I just want to get out of that. Oh no, it's not even letting me click out of that. Fuck it. See that thing, man? When you click something, it just doesn't want to let you do something that you want to. Now it's just been a pain in the backside. Well, that's what I'm going through right now. But I'm definitely going to have to figure it out one way or another. And I'm clicking enter right now. There's even mirror option. Fucking sorry about this, guys. I mean, see once I get this done and dusted, and see once I know how all this operates, then obviously then I'll be able to, get things. Whenever I put up a live feed or that, I'm able to just get on with it. No all this hassle, man. It makes you want to tear your hair out. It's like, why does it have to be such a bother? And there's obviously something there that I just don't know. Oh wait, no, it wouldn't be this, would it? No, it's an animated overlay. Ah, fuck it. Honest to God. Duplicate. Nah, it's no duplicate. Ugh, fuck it. I can't be arsed with it. So aye folk, it's I think this is just designed just for people like me, just to piss me off. I think that's what this whole thing is based on. It's just it's testing my patience, and I can't. I'm just gonna. I'll fucking leave it. It's just fuck that. Fuck even try to figure it out. It was there earlier on as well. I can't even figure it out now. Okay, right, I'll leave it now. No got a clue how you actually figure, you know, the whole thing out. It's a mind-boggling sort of. Wait. Hold on, man. I think I've got something. Hang on. But, I think I've done it, man. I think I've got something. Hang on. Hold up a second. I think I've done it, man. I think I've got something. I think I've figured it out. I think I've got something. Hang on. Can you guys see this? Hold up a second. I think I've done it, man. I think I've got something. I think I've figured it out. I think I've got something. Can you guys see this? You guys can still come in. I think I've got something. I think I've figured it out. Look a bit weird. Can you guys see this? You guys can still come in. I think I've got something. I think I've figured it out. Look a bit weird. Can you guys see this? You guys can still come in. Obviously, if you guys can make it figure it look a bit weird. Can you guys see this? You guys can still come in. Obviously, if you guys can make it figure it look a bit weird. Can you guys see this? You guys can still come in. Obviously, if you guys can make it figure it look a bit weird. Can you guys see this? You guys can still come in. Obviously, if you guys can make it figure it look a bit weird. Can you guys see this? You guys can still come in. Obviously, if you guys can make it figure it look a bit weird. At least now I can show you. Can you guys see this? You guys can still come in. Obviously, if you guys can make it figure it look a bit weird. At least now I can show you. Can you guys see this? You guys can still come in. I'm going to show you stuff whatever it is. At least now I can show you. Can you guys see this? You guys can still come in. I'm going to show you whatever it is. At least now I can show you. Can you guys see this? You guys can still come in. I'm going to show you whatever it is. At least now I can show you. Can you guys see this? You guys can still come in. I'm going to show you whatever it is. At least now I can show you. You guys see this?
It's good it's in the art. 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 It's in the art.
Something's fucked up, folk. I don't even know what it's doing right now. It's doing something that I'm not even asking it to do. It brought up something about system audio, and I'm not even pressing it. I apologise, you couldn't even hear what I was saying. It's fuck knows where it was playing it there. But you see, the thing is, right, this wee hang at the top here, right, and I'm just going to quickly try and show you it. You see up the top here? Up here, it's got the 3 options. The middle option there enables you to go to the desktop, right? And that one there is the one, obviously, with the video, right? When I clicked that, all it's showing me is my desktop. I thought to myself, right, great, I'd be able to show you, you know, me moving the mouse pointer around and going to the actual analytics on my YouTube. It's no good anything. It just shows you the desktop and that's it. It's the point in that. It's like, oh, look, here's my desktop. It's like, what? It's not even going to anything. What's the point in that, man? Hold on, maybe there's something I'm doing wrong. Show all scenes, show in current scene. Show in current scene. Right, no. Honestly. See, just try to figure a software out, it just do your nothing. New animated overlay. I don't want an animated overlay. I'm not interested in an animated overlay. I'm interested in showing folk the analytics screen. That's what I'm interested in. But it just doesn't. It's just. Oh my god, man. See, I'm not one of these people that enjoys looking through instruction manuals and all that garbage and I'm gonna have to go through and sometimes you look on YouTube videos to try and figure something out, and some people's explanations is just bloody worthless. You're thinking to yourself, that just didn't give me the answer. That's no use. That just doesn't give me anything. Oh, fuck it. Honestly, God, man, it would do your nothing. It would honestly do your nothing. Hold on. Oh, hold on. Current application. Hold on. I think I've figured something. Hold on. Entire screen. Is it? Is it going to do the entire screen? Oh, no, fuck's sake, man. Entire screen. No, it's no, is it? Hold on a sec. Go back to that. No, it's just the desktop again. See, whoever made this application, you honest to God, man, what the, like, why does it have to be so difficult? Entire screen, eCamm live, camera effects, hang on, comments and reactions, or like, right, that's only if I want to bring that up in the screen and you can see it. Right, fair enough, at least then I know how to bring that up, right? And that one says overlays, alright, jeez, oh man. Like, I do apologise, folk, it's just oh, fuck it. Click out that screen. Oh, jeez, oh. Current application. So if it's on current application, it should be able to allow me to show. Oh my god. Like, fuck it. I can't. Right. See, to be honest with you, folk, Fuck that. Fuck that. Fuck wasting my time in that thing, man. I'm kind of done with it. I just got to the stage. I just thought to myself, fuck that. As you said, Agora, in your experience, are ANSOTs just ignorant and lazy, or do you think there's something actually wrong with them? Not that they are evil per se, but is there something wrong with the leftist theory? You talking about like just socialists in general? Of course, I mean, you have to be in a state of ignorance to support socialism. You have to be. Especially after, you know, the history. I mean, reading Christian Yemyet's book, if I've pronounced that name right, probably bastardised it, mind you, but reading Christian Yemyet's book, he mentions himself that about the entire thing, and it really is a state of ignorance. It's a religion. It's cultist. Socialism in general is cultist, and it is lazy, because all it takes, it's common sense. All it takes is just to study basic economics, and I'm not even joking. That's all it takes. Once you study basic economics, you can see right through socialism. Socialism just falls apart. Socialism is just nothing at all to do with economics. It's an ideology that defies it. You know, that's the point. Socialism defies economics. So, you know, for these people to support, you know, such a position, they support something that just is illogical. So it requires an extreme state of ignorance. It requires someone to basically deny all truth. That's what it requires. And even if you, and I've found, because I've argued with hundreds and hundreds of them, right? I've debated them, and I've tried to get through to them. The truth of the matter is, they're so set in their ways, they're no interested in the truth. The truth just goes out the window, you know, it's just, they're no interested in all of that. They've no get any interest at all. So that's the problem. I mean, leftist theory is purely based on something that's ideological, but it's not based on the real world. For example, the idea that we can all just come together, sing Kumbaya and hold hands together in one big happy circle, and that everybody just gets along with everyone. That just isn't the real world. And that's where I came from. There was an article that was something to do with this moneyless, you know, experiment in India or something like that. And it's just, you know, a group that are somehow trying to prove some sort of point, but they don't understand that this is collectivism, and they don't understand that if you were to put this across on a countrywide scale, it's precisely what led to the starvation. It's not even an if, a but, or a maybe, and it's based on the assumption that all humans think alike, and that all humans get along, and that all humans are just, you know, this one big happy collective family, and that isn't the real world. You know, collectivism is very dangerous, and it's why, you know, people were living in extreme poverty before individualism, you know, came through to some extent. You know, human history right up to the Industrial Revolution lived in extreme poverty because of that collective hive mindset. So it's something that's, you know, built into them. You know, they don't understand human nature. And Murray and Rothbard, and of course Ludwig von Mises, touch upon this in Human Action, and I think the other book that I'm reading, obviously, what Rothbard touches upon. As you said, Anon, so is the book with the acrylic cover something you plan to make copies to sell to people? I would love to do that. See, if I had the money to do that, I would do that. I would love to sell a number of copies. Maybe at some point, if I get the money to do so, I would love to be able to create a number of copies and sell them for, you know, however much. But I would be selling it at a loss. I think it must I mean, for me to get the book made, I was lucky to even get £100 off. It was a German company, Sal Digital. I was lucky enough to get money off the book, and obviously got the book for about 120 odd or something because of the UK, but and even that £100 discount off it. So I mean, just to get books made, it's expensive. So you imagine if I was to try and sell that, I'd be selling it at a loss, you know. So it isn't cheap. No, unless I can find a good place that's, you know, does the books cheaper, and I would be able to sell, you know, for more. I would love to do that. I would love to be able to, because that's a book that's, no, it's personally me, but if I was to get the book remade, you know, the same template and everything with the photographs, if I was to get it remade, I think obviously then I would be able to, you know, make just some wee changes or that, and then be able to sell to folk. But I've got to do research, because I've got to watch. There was street photography that I did, so I don't know if that, you know, crosses that border. If I'm able to sell, you know, because obviously you need people's permission and stuff like that, because it then crosses into commercial. Something's gone wrong. It's like, sorry, comments or try to. As you said, Yusuf, I hear 100 million echoes. Aye, sorry about that. It was something wrong. As you said, if you could hear this, you would laugh your arse off. Yeah, it opened up some sort of properties box, and it started doing that, and I was like, fuck man, what have I pressed? What have I done? It's just like this software just makes your head go boom. Just try to figure it out. As you said, something's gone wrong. It's like playing several audio tracks. Yeah, it was something delayed. As you said, it's back to normal. Yep, keep it at it. Just figure it out. Yep. What do you want us to want to show? Yeah, it was basically the screen. You know, if I could figure a way, I would need to research into it. There must be some sort of way, because all it was showing was my desktop, and I was wanting to be able to pop up to show my browser, to then show you my YouTube analytics screen, which you guys can't see. And I remember PB had asked on request for me to show that, to show obviously that screen, but I can't find it. That's frustrating. They make it so difficult just to do stuff, and it's just that's a pain in the arse, because when I want to do this for my photography stuff, I would love to be able to show him my Photoshop and whatnot. You know what I mean? But it just seems to be such a hassle just to try and figure it. Dios, Scotty, have you ever been to the West Brewery across from the People's Palace? I recently found out that it's workers owned brewery across from the People's Palace. I think I might have been in that. Look, what was it? I know the People's Palace. You know, that's obviously something that, you know, if you like all the sort of plants and stuff like that, and see, because of the fact I'm fae Glasgow, I don't really, well, I don't exactly go much to touristy places in my city, you know what I mean? I'd really only do that if I'm, you know, showing somebody around, you know what I mean? Because I had a friend, obviously he's Polish, and I remember obviously when he came here and that, I was obviously showing him some of the places and that, because I think he came up from London at one time. But I mean, living here, I don't really go to the places, although during my photography course and stuff like that, I went to certain places like Glasgow Botanic Gardens, and obviously I was photographing the flowers and stuff like that. and we had to do that as part of the it was a course project or something. So rarely, I don't go to these places that often, but you know, I think I know what you're talking about. It used to be, I think it used to be a factory, and they turned it into a sort of, I don't know if it is a brewery or that. It might be the same one. I'm not entirely sure, but there's hundreds of pubs and clubs and the bars and that are in the city. So it's a case that there's probably many I just have never been in. It's the same with my pals who one lives through in Edinburgh and the other lives through in Kilmarnock, so I don't see them that often. But and plus the fact the lockdown was kind of thymied, and we usually just go for certain bars to bars, and usually if I'm in any sort of bars or that, it's usually in town. See, a lot of people confuse Glasgow. They think that the city centre, they think that's Glasgow. They seem to forget that Glasgow's actually bigger than just the city centre. That's just the town. The town where all the shops and everything are, right? There's obviously other areas in Glasgow. Glasgow is a lot bigger than what people think. So they somehow think I live outside Glasgow. I don't live outside Glasgow. I live in an area in Glasgow. That's just the town. So, Annan, as you said, individualism and having to accept responsibility for our decisions is scary. Collectivism is more scary yet. Well, I can understand where you're coming from, but collectivism is when it defies human nature. Throughout recorded history, you can see what it's caused. You can see what it's done. Yeah. There's many historical examples, as you know. Dios, great alcohol but bad service because there was no real organisation between the employees. Alright, I didn't actually really know that, but I could imagine so. I mean, see, you do require a certain level of management, in my opinion, to run business. I wouldn't be surprised if there was incompetence in that. As you say, no sense selling at a loss. I've no knowledge of publishing and I think I just proved that. Well, I know what you mean, exactly, that's the thing. I mean, the fact that for that company, Sal Digital, they're giving £100 discount off, and the fact that the book cost about 120 quid, then I mean that it wasn't cheap. I mean the book itself, I mean, you're talking the back cover and everything. That's proper leather, obviously. And another thing, I don't know if I pointed it out. You can see here. This was in the last days. What I did is, you can see here, it's actually printed on the back cover. So you can see there one of the photographs I managed to fit in. And it's actually printed on the back cover. And it's thick. It's quite thick. If I can just manage to put this over and you can see. Try to find me because of reflections and stuff like that. There you go. And it's, I can show you the card itself. It's quite thick photo card. It's no, you can kind of make it out for that distance. You can see there, it's quite something. It's quite expensive, and it's of real high quality. And I spent a lot of time designing the book. You can see there that was the index and everything. the content, shall I say. And I did overlays, did a lot of Photoshop stuff and all that. And it was a case of how I would tell a story and looking up the names of places and stuff like that. Obviously all this sort of, you can see if I just lift this up, so there was a lot of hard work that I put into that. And in each section I had a sort of, you know, you can see there, number 1, so I listed each one, Piazza Bra, went through, added in the appropriate photographs to that, telling the story and everything as a documentary that properly, you know, explains, you know, it's great because it's something that serves me as memory. It's always there, you know. It's a personal book, but it's also something that I can show for the work that I've done. You can see obviously that explained and things like that. There's a lot of texting and stuff, so it's a mixture between personal documentary and something in my portfolio, a proper documentary photo book. Unlike the one that I made an arse of it at the college. The other one that I did, it didn't have any words at all. It didn't really explain the story the same, and I think that was the main problem. And this allowed me to, you know, print lay flat. So you can see obviously, even with lay flat, it looks impressive. You know, that was one of the photographs I had taken, of the Verona de Arena, or however you, I think it's Arena de Verona or whatever. It's on Piazza Bra. There was a lot of work that I had put into, obviously the book and stuff, and I had to think out layout and all the rest of it. So it's a lot of work. Even there's some photographs that aren't mine, right? The tour guide had taken it, but I still put them in because it tells the story. You know what I mean? So like overlooking Verona, that was when I was at it's the thing that overlooks. I can't even remember the name of the building. I've listed it. I've written it down. You know what I mean? But we were, you know, it was some view. Unfortunately, I was chasing the sun, so I had to go back to the viewpoint and everything to re-photograph it, and I explained that in the book. You know, I even captured night shots and stuff like that. So I went to the viewpoint at night, and I captured a night shot, and I also went back for the sunset. So, and obviously I explained each bit. So you can see how much work I had thingied into the book, and I even you can see at the bottom corners I added in page numbers and whatnot, you know. So I've got all of that, and you can see Mary a full from the cover. If I can lift this up for you guys, you can see Mary the actual photo itself for the full thingy, and that's overlooking when I had to chase the sunset. See, that's the thing, when you're a photographer, you have to be good with timing, and it's not something you can just mess about. You have to be there then and right there and then, so you're rushed about. And the thing is, when you're on holiday and that, there's times that you just don't have the opportunity. You know what I mean? It's unfortunate you're shooting during midday and it's not really the ideal. But I did try to, you know, get the time in, properly scheduled to make sure I would get the sunset and stuff like that, that I wanted. And so there's a lot of good stuff in in the book, and like I say, I mean, it's the amount of work I put into it. I'm sure people would love to. It'd be an interesting read for folk just to look through and see the place, because I just titled it Verona and Beyond because it covered Verona itself and outside, so like Valpolicella, which was the vineyards and stuff like that. It shows you San Giorgio. So San Giorgio overlooks, from Valpolicella, overlooks the place and shows you. You can see Lake Garda, the foot of Lake Garda, and that is the view. Obviously, you can see. We can just lift this up and you can see, and obviously, I'd got that done, and it shows you the bench of. Again, my tour guide took that photograph, but and I set the camera up and stuff like that. So there are certain. I'm happy that the majority of the photographs in here are raw photographs that I properly took, but I wanted to add in those photographs, obviously, to show, and my tour guide is actually, he's in there. I've even added in the full photographs and all the rest of it. There's quite a bit. Even get inside the church and stuff like that. Even outside it. And obviously the beautiful place that's in San Giorgio. That's obviously gone down, where you can see obviously the photographs I had taken, and I used double the 2 pages for certain photographs, so I decided on layout and everything. So all of that took me a lot of time, a hell of a lot of time, and I even visited the winery. And another example, they may have set the camera up, but it doesn't matter. I mean, it's not my photographs, but as I say, that's what I mean. I put in, photographs that kind of tell the story and everything, and that's actually something that you learn to do when you're a photographer. I would love to be that documentary photographer. I love documentary photography. I'd love to be able to take pictures that kind of show, that tell a story, and to give you an example of that. Outside, showing the actual vineyards. So we were outside, and my tour guide there, you can see him up the top corner here, where he's holding, obviously, the grapes. You can see him up the top corner, and obviously us three. But just to show, obviously, everything that's going on, So that's kind of like what I love doing. It's not just a case of just travelling and that. It's a case of actually photographing the people, and it's having to build up the courage to ask. It's having to build up the courage to, because I'm not as forward, but it's having to build up the courage to thingy, photograph and whatnot. Because some people don't like being photographed, But I would love to. If I had the opportunity to, I'd sell this book. I would. I'd sell it. I'd love to. Like I said, Borghetto, that was just after a place that he lives, which is Bellagio Sulmincio, spelt V. So Bellagio Sulmincio, and Borghetto is part of that. So I managed to get, all that sort of added in. So there's so much in this. I even got some of Venice in, like I say. Oh, there was one guy I wanted to show you. I stuck a couple of pictures in him. I even showed some of Lake Garda and whatever. Like I showed you a Malchesney, because it was the tour guide took us so many places. He took us to Malchesney and all sorts, and you know, that was amazing. Sirmione and all the rest of it. Such a beautiful place. But where was the? It's the one photograph, obviously, of in Venice. And if I just drag it up, because it's nearer the end. Because like I say, I mean, each section you can see there I add in obviously each bit, and you can see what I've done for Venice and stuff like that. We were rushed. We only had one day there, so when we arrived, it was about 1:30, right, which was a bit later, which was kind of shit because we had to leave about 7 at night. So I was kind of frustrated because I think I had lost pictures and I ended up in a bit of a mood. I wasn't happy in that, and at the same time I was rushed to get back to the train station. We literally just caught the train in Namur, but I was so gutted because at the time we were leaving, it was night time and you could see all the beautiful lights and everything. So I so want to go back to Venice. You know, Venice is somewhere I would love to spend so much time in and photograph, but I never had the time, and if I can just find that photograph, there it is. So that's it there. I don't know if you can make it out right. You see the guy there? I randomly came across this guy and I took black and white pictures of him. I don't know if I'm pointing at it right. It's down here somewhere. I can move my hand down. You can see him down there. You know. There you go. So this guy was a random guy. He's somebody that obviously works at a restaurant, and I was speaking to him and he was asking me what type of photography I love, and he says he loves black and white photographs and stuff, and I says to him, can I take a picture of you? And obviously I got down to photographing him to show him, and he was asking me where I was from and that, and I says Glasgow, and you know, he's very, very friendly in that. But I managed to capture a couple of shots of the guy, and I added that in. So I mean, I says I would send it to him, but I don't know, I couldn't make out what he was saying, and I didn't want to sound ignorant, you know what I mean? But you know, it's something that part of me is I'm improving with my communication, you know, that's something. But that's a book. That's honestly my most treasured thing. There's many more pictures in there that obviously you can't see, but it's something I treasure a lot, and it's, you know, initially I'd love to sell it. You know what I mean? As you said, yeah, they took the old factory in the Templeton. Aye, that's it. As you said. Best comments ever. Do you sell your book on Amazon? Well, you know, that's an option. If I ever look at it, see if I could find a place that can print the books in good quality at a good reasonable price. Who knows? Maybe I could do that. I think the reason why it adds the cost on is because the fact the cover is acrylic. And acrylic is quite expensive. But I think if I was to get a book done, the same photo book done And if I was to get the template, if I could find out a way to save the template or redo it and get it done at a cheaper place where I could get it made for a reasonable publisher, you know, then I would do that. You know, I would so love to do that, because I know a lot of folk who would love to see these places and that. And there's a lot of good photographs I had taken that show Verona and beyond in a good light, and I've, you know, I'm pretty sure there'd be people even, you know, who live there, who would be, you know, who would be more than happy to actually, you know, pay the money for something like that, you know. But if I could get away with doing that, I would, you know. That's something that's obviously personal to myself, and you know, it's something. But I would love to do more, you know. I would love to do more for documentary photograph books. There's no questioning that, and it shows the portfolio. Because at some point I want to take people on photo tours. Now I'd probably charge them about £200 or £250 for a tour. Maybe if the tours, because I've seen people take people on tours that last 5 days or that, and they charge over £1,000, and I'm thinking of doing that. I'm thinking of doing the sort of tours that might last 3 to 5 days or something. You take them places with a obviously to the scenery, and show them how to photograph landscape and whatever. If I could get away with it, I would do the wildlife, but wildlife is difficult because you've no guarantee you're going to get what you want. And I've got so much respect for the wildlife photographers who are so dedicated. They can get, and they understand that the nature so good. They can take the people to these places, and they would get there. They would get the photographs. I mean, look at Neil McIntyre, professional wildlife photographer. He was able to get me pictures of the red squirrels. Now I took the photographs myself, but even still, if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't have got as close as I did. If it wasn't for him, I wouldn't have known where to look. But aye. But it's something to think about. As you said, Scott, I didn't get to see your reaction to my comments. Can you please tell me how you responded? I'm not entirely sure what you mean. I think you mean, was it earlier comments you posted above? Alright, do you mean like the reaction to obviously finished Bolshevik? So I'm not entirely sure. I suppose. Anyway, folk, I'm glad that I managed to get this, you know, working in that, but there's obviously things that I'm going to have to sit down. Like I says, I'm going to have to sit down and work out everything with this whole thing, and I can't make heads or tails out of it. It's going to take me a while to get my head around it. The software, but I've got a start to it, which is good. But it's a nightmare. I mean, it's trying to get my head around the comments. It's just, you know, for some odd reason I just can't get the screen, so I'm going to have to do research on that. YouTube, and you know yourself, some videos are just useless and you're just searching through and it just becomes a bit of a pain in the backside. As you said, there's a guy named Clark Little that takes very dramatic surfing and ocean pics. Not saying you should risk your life as he does, but he sells books with those pics and separate prints. Yeah. The thing that you've got to realise though, and because of the fact I was studying photography and it's all covered in it, and even Neil McIntyre said it himself, and he is a professional wildlife photographer. Neil McIntyre says that what to do if I want to do wildlife is get together 100 of my best photographs, and as he says, you know, it's no longer a case that you sell prints, right? That's not where you make your money for. I mean, okay, you might make the odd bit of money just for selling prints and stuff like that. And even when I was, you know, doing my documentary photograph book, a documentary photographer was in talking to the class, and as explained, you don't really make the money for the books. You don't, because of how much it costs to print them and stuff like that. But what the books are for is more or less to get your name out there, more or less to say, here's what I can do, and that's why they sell the odd books and stuff like that. You don't see them selling in mass print and stuff. I don't know whether a free market would ever enable such a thing, but the point of the issue being is the fact that you don't make the same amount of money. So where photographers make their money for is, you know, the same way a teacher makes their money. You know what I mean? It's a case that you make the money from educating people. You make your money for going out doing workshops. You make the money for doing the tours, you know, showing people how to use the camera, even teaching people how to, you know, photograph other things and that, and that's where you make the money for. But I was considering whether I do or not. Whether I do is the whole thing of Davy wedding photography, but my main plan is pet photography. You know, that's, I love pets. I had it in heart. I thought to myself, you know, Neil McIntyre's wife is also a photographer. She does pet photography, and he was telling me that. And I thought to myself, you know something, that's the next thing the next thing closest to that of wildlife photography. I thought to myself, I could do that. I could do that. I could, you know, do the pet photography. I'd love to do that. You know, people love their pets and everything, and it's somewhat part of, you know, family photography, and you know, that's something I'd love to do. So that's something I've got planned, that obviously I'd love to get started. But with photography, it's one of these type of things that you need a motor to be able to get about to do stuff, so you cannot understand the point of what I'm trying to address. It's just one of those things that I'm going to have to wait. As you said, he does good work. An internet search will bring up his page. Maybe not as fancy as a book as yours might be compared to the. Do you sell prints? Well, yeah, I'll be selling prints. Definitely I will be. I can understand. My brother had been working in that, but once he's got the time, once I can get my brother to get my business website built, because I've got a portfolio sort of website up on Squarespace. You see, when you try to visit it through desktop, it takes, I don't know why, I don't understand why, and it seems to load no bother in this. Right, in fact, I can load it in this just to quickly show you. I must have pressed a few things wrong, and I'll show you. If I just go to the, you can even search it on your mobile phone now. It's under https:// www.scottcjmckelvey.com. I think I've got that right. But in mobile phone, I think it's just taking its time to obviously load. Maybe it started doing it in mobile phone now. goodness sake, man, that website's a pile of shit. See all those advertisements you were seeing about Squarespace? Squarespace is a pile of shit. Sorry for my language. It really is a pile of crap. I mean, they can use the excuses about the size of my pictures, but I even made sure that the pictures are under 500 kilobytes. Right? I mean, what the hell is that's a useless website. That's why I need to get my own website done. Squarespace is a pile of crap. I mean, what use is that? Somebody obviously wants to see your work. Oh look, timed out. What use is that? What use is that? That's no use to me. Hold on. I've not typed that wrong. I don't think I've typed that wrong. I'll just quickly check my Facebook. No, it's the same thing. What seems to be the problem here? Just fucking Squarespace, man. And even the thing's loading right now, and it'll take about fucking. Sorry for my language. Rubbish, absolute rubbish site. No use. And obviously people can't even, go on and look at my work. What use is that? And that's costing £10 a month for that, Squarespace. What's the point in that? It barely even loads. I mean, it used to be a case that it would load no bother. It would load no bother on, mobile. But I don't know if the site's done at the moment. But yeah, it's no use. I'm not happy with Squarespace. That's why I'm going to look somewhere else to get my website on, and then obviously you guys would have access. What I was actually also thinking of doing is obviously as part of giveaways and stuff like that, So I'd love to do that type of stuff. People do, and I've seen on these live streams and stuff like that, people do, it's not rewards, it's like, I don't know if it's like, in the chat, people give money and stuff like that. Well, I would love to actually, give people in return, photographs and stuff. Because it helps obviously myself and getting my name out as a photographer. And that's what I think about first and foremost. So it's just so frustrating. That website is honestly, Squarespace, I don't even recommend them. I know other photographers are, but I just think that's all just for show. I mean, I'm proof. I mean, I've not done it in wrong. It's not like I've done it in wrong. You know what I mean? At least I don't think I've looked at everything. So it's just frustrating. As you said earlier, your photos of the leaf cutter ant are great. Thank you. Is the website actually popped up on your side of things? Because that's the thing. I'm no joking. Look at this. Look at this, folk. Look. Loading. It's still loading. What use is that? Honestly, that is. It's so useless. So I don't know if you guys can access it. What about the falling rate of profit? Well, I've been asked that question before. I couldn't really answer you that question because I've not really researched into that whole thing. So I can't really answer. I think it's because I briefly looked at something. It's something to do with an argument made by Karl Marx. So I'll need to look into it in order to understand where he's coming from. I've heard of Hans Hermann Hoppe. I've heard of him. Again, it's not somebody I've actually read into to make comment on. So those I will at some point. I'll, you know, do research, and I will not talk about something that I don't particularly have the knowledge of. I don't think that's right of me to do so. But I will get around to, because I've got, I've got other things, like, because when I'm not doing my videos and stuff like that, I'm doing things that are, well, I feel important to me. So yes, I will, if I get the time, and I will look into that. As you said, I don't like looking at the internet on my smartphone, but I can't say I've noticed any speed issues on my home computer, with your photo web page. Well, I'm happy to hear that. On desktop, I think it's troublesome. It seems to be like it doesn't seem to want to load in my thingy. Maybe if I don't even put in HTTPS, maybe if I just put in www.scottcjmckelvey.com. Just see if it comes up. You can see there, guys. It's obviously loading, and it's taking its time. It's taking its time. It's still loading. I mean, that's ridiculous, man. That is. The very fact that this thing is actually still loading, it's... That's frustrating. It's still sitting there. Oh, look! I mean, that... I've had it with that website, man. I've had it with it. What a waste of £10 a month for a pile of crap like that. It's just... I've fucking done with it. That website really is just a pile of shit. That's it. I've made my mind up on that. Right. As you says, Squarespace is also getting very political though. They've pulled hosting for some American right wingers. You are joking, man. That's honestly what... That's it. See, once I get a website built, that's them done. Fuck them. So I wouldn't be surprised if they're trying to restrict my site just for the sake they probably don't like me. Right? I don't know if they've looked me up. Who knows how they operate? I don't know, but they're just... I'm done with him. I'm seriously done with him. As you says, why don't you do any debunking on Thought Slime? I've never actually... Did I actually do one on Thought Slime? I actually done something. I don't think I uploaded the video to Facebook. But I thought I actually done a video on Thought Slime. No. I'll look into Mary's videos. You know, I'll look into it. I'll take note of his name so I remember. And if I've not got the video up in Facebook, I'll upload it into that as well. For how long has this stream been going? Goodness knows, mate. I was just trying to figure things out. And you should do a political compass test. And I've done that. I've done the political compass test and everything. You know. I mean, what's that for a question, man? Like, Mad Lad 101 says, "Are you a virgin?" My answer to that is no. But I don't see. I don't see the point in that question, mate. Like, my past relationships are past relationships, they're gone, and it's like, that's, I don't even, it's like, yeah, what's the point in that? Exactly, Anon, as you says, are you an idiot? What does this have to do with the price of the tea in China? It's like nothing. So I don't, some folk, I don't understand. So I don't even understand that. I actually figured out his name. As you says, Pee-wee, Jason, I called him Unuru, because I couldn't even pronounce his name. His name's actually Jason Unruh. Unruh. He's got a German name apparently. So he's Unruh. So he's Canadian, but there you go, that's how you pronounce his name. You say he looks like an egg. I don't know. He's just, some of the stuff he hits it with, and the fact that he sells books. You know, that's something about him. A commie that practices capitalism. That's just, as you said, Democratic Socialist 01 is a teen who puts on a fake voice to sound smart. Probably is, mate. So anyway, folks, I think I've covered what I wanted today, and this is just a live stream on the fly, so to speak. I wanted to at least make it something productive, but at the same time, I was trying to figure out how this whole thing works. The main thing is, I can actually live stream now to both my Facebook and to my YouTube, and I can do that. It works, no bother, but I'm obviously going to have to try and figure out for you folk, obviously, how to get certain things working, like the comments and stuff like that. I'm going to have to do a lot more research into that, because I can't even make heads or tails out of it. It doesn't make the slightest bit of sense to me. It doesn't. Jason Unruh is so ignorant about the business cycle. He's ignorant of everything, mate. Even prices. Like, no remember the video I done in response on prices. I mean, just anybody that hasn't seen the video should go back and watch my video on in response to Jason Unruh in terms of the prices. They need to watch it. The guy's completely and utterly clueless. It's one of the most comedic videos that I've done, simply because he made it comedic. So that's why, if you haven't seen the video, you should watch it. Oh, the purple suit and the black hat. I've still got it. You know, it's my purple shirt and obviously my suit and everything. I've still got that. But I just haven't been wearing it in recent. But usually I'm the sort of person who would go out wearing stuff like that. You know, that's just me. So I. Another comment I don't really fully comprehend, to be honest with you. As you says, Anon, don't know if links are accepted in this chat, but look up, for example, Dr. Simone Gold. What he posted wasn't really even political. Yeah, I'll be sure to look him up. Pee-wee, libertarian and socialist rants harasses children by sending his fans to bullet them. Well, they did that with my video on Nazi Germany, and they took things out of context. They didn't even bother looking at my blog post, and the blog post pointed out the very fact that it wasn't just a case that they marched under red flags and banners, it's that they marched under red flags and banners on May Day. On May Day. Now, if you look up May Day, even stated by the Socialist Review. The Socialist Review is a socialist magazine, and the Socialist Review says in their says distinctly that they made it a day of their own, that it was a day to celebrate anti-capitalism, a day to celebrate socialism. That's why they were marching under red flags and banners. You know, red flags and banners. I mean, that's why they were marching on May Day. And that was something that the Nazis did. You know, they couldn't have made it clearer that how anti-capitalist they were. And yet all of them were like, you know, jumping, taking things out of context, and, you know, I just gave up responding to them. I just thought to myself, what's the fucking point? Look at all the dislikes in my video. It's like, no point even, you know, concern myself with all these folk. It's like, you know, I've got to the stage, and I've probably matured. I just got to the stage thinking to myself, what's the point wasting my energy, negative energy, on people that just... It's like arguing with a brick wall. You'd get more sense out the brick wall, you know what I mean? So yes. Cameron thinks Chaz was a utopia. Are you talking about libertarian socialist chance? I'll look at, because I've no even looked at that. As you say, by the way, you may have some smooth-brained political takes, but you're a lot more confident and eloquent. Good on you. I'm not entirely sure what the smooth-brained political takes means, but, you know, I do greatly appreciate it. At the end of the day, I'm someone... I've got confidence, and then I've not. It's not so straightforward. Yeah. It's not something that's easy to explain. So there's a lot about me that I've got strong self-confidence, and then there's parts of me that just isn't. I think the best way to explain it is more or less experience of things. So it's not like I'm not a self-confident person. It's just I don't even know if you'd classify certain things of trauma or that, I don't know. So I think somebody explained that before. Somebody says that I might have PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder. Don't know. I couldn't tell you. Pee-wee, as you said, that comment section is full of ad hominems and character assassination. So is the next video about the Finnish Bolshevik? Well, I'll consider that. Well, yeah, I mean, sure. I will get around to doing the video Unfinished Bolsheviks. I'll get around to doing that. As you said, Marcus Aurelius, you maybe try some debates on modern day debates that can definitely bolster your channel. That's an interesting point. You know, if anybody's got any stuff like that, direct me to the stuff, and maybe I'll do a response to stuff that's happening modern day. I do understand where you're coming from, and I'm more than happy to do that. Like I said, there's one I think that is on Lewis Hamilton and something to do with the in response to F1, I think his game or something his channel's name is, so I'll get around to doing a response to that soon. Monolithic ethos, anarcho-communist. Communes have a life expectancy of a goldfish. they would never last. It's just socialism's unsustainable. PB, you should have a live discussion with Sargon of Akkad. It will make you more popular. I don't mind that. I don't mind obviously live discussions and stuff like that with people like Sargon. I respect his own position and his own views and everything. But I'm more of a person that loves doing, not debating, but I love having discussions. I love having things, takes on things. I love doing the interviews. I enjoy doing that because there's information from other people that I think other people should hear, and that's what I love doing. But the response videos that I do, I like to do that because then it's structured. It's not something on the fly like this. Anarcho-communism is an oxymoron, as you said. Absolutely right. And as you said, Marcus Aurelius, Modern Day Debates is a YouTube channel. Alright, so it's an actual YouTube channel, as you says, where anyone can come and discuss about any topic. They've had huge names like Destiny, Sargon, Vosh, etc. Right, I'll look that up then. I didn't realise that. I'd need to look that up, because that could help me in a sense. As you said, PB Sargon was part of the UKIP. Did he leave it? See, I didn't follow it. I didn't keep up with it all. I know that, Thingy fell away from it. What's his name? The Scottish boy. Count Dankula. Count Dankula, Marcus Meekin. He fell away from UKIP or something like that. I can't remember the full reasons and stuff. I didn't know Sargon thingied away from it or that. But there you go, I wasn't really keeping up. They've also had Caleb Maupin and Mouth the Infidel. Alright, I couldn't tell you who Caleb is, but of course I can certainly say for Mouth the Infidel or whatever. Like I said, folk, I'm more than happy to do stuff like that, but I'm gonna need to, properly figure out this software first, and that's kind of what I was trying to spend my time on today, and with this live feed thing. I want to try and figure this out because it's mind-boggling. Some of the things that I just try to figure out, and I just can't get my head around. It's like I say in my comments thing, isn't it? It's kind of shit, that. Because if I could get the comments thing working, that would be fantastic. But I'm just looking at it now and I just can't see anything here. Source, scene, edit. I don't see anything here. Is there any preferences? It's like I can't see anything. Because I wish I could sort this out now, and it's shit. It's shit, folk. The sooner I could find something like that out, then the sooner I can just go do other stuff, man. All I see is a list for window of comments and reactions, but there's nothing. And it's piss poor, isn't it? I see something about transition or something. Again, there's a lot in here that I can't make heads or tails out of. That's it, folk. I don't know. I couldn't tell you. I'm gonna have to look it up. I can't even make heads or tails out of it. Jason Unruh supports the death penalty. I'm not really that surprised by that. Marcus Aurelius, Ryan Kent is a fraud. Why is he a fraud? Let me guess, because of the fact that he scored on an onside position. I don't understand. I don't know. I can't even watch the games anyway, so it means nothing to me. I've not even watched any of the games. My Sky Television's gone, so that's it. I can't even watch the games, so I'm not going to see football this season. It's not going to mean anything to me. It's kind of shit, but that's life. So I can't tell you anything about why Ryan Kent is apparently a fraud, but there you go. It's shit. I got my new top though, man. You know, the Rangers top, but I'm just peeved off. I'm going to be left watching highlights, fucking highlights, of all things. Even the Old Firm game, fucking highlights. That's it. That's the most I'm going to get to see. Where have I heard that word before? Thing. 2 seconds and I'll. Transhumanism is a philosophical movement that advocates for the transformation of the human condition by developing and making widely available sophisticated technologies to greatly enhance human intellect and physiology. Do you mean like using technology to tamper with human beings and apparently make so-called improvements? I would agree with technology improving our life, but I don't know about stuff like tampering about with human beings. That's not something I believe in. I just believe in nature in itself. Dios, have you ever read any of Hans Hermann Opp? Well, that's what I'm saying. I've no read any of his work, so I can't really pass comment on the guy. I think someone mentioned something about the fact that, you know, he's somebody mentioned something about the fact that he's anarchist. I don't know. So anyway, folk, what I'm going to do is I'm probably going to end up ending the live feed and that, and because I've got other things that I need to time me, and I'm going to need to do the research and stuff like that. As I say, I'm going to have to go through the research and figure out everything, especially on this thing, so that when I organise, I'll probably set a future time, and I'll probably set the date and time for the live stream that I would have with Mike. But I'm going to have to obviously discuss with him a time that's reasonable to suit himself when he's available and stuff like that. So I'm going to have to get that sorted out for you guys, and I'll get that sorted. Today I've not really been doing much, so I thought this would be ideal that I would try and figure this thing out, but it just seems to me I'm going to have to spend more time than what I imagined, and that's a bit of a kick in the arse. I'll don't worry about that. I'll get round to obviously crediting the next video when I do that. I'll get around to doing that. So crediting the next video, I'll be sure to remember. And I'll get around to doing that, as I say. So anyway, folk, I do greatly appreciate all your own input and everything, your own comments and everything, and it's been enjoyable. And obviously for you guys, I'll definitely get into. Don't worry about the YouTube thing. I'll continue to put more content out, and we'll see where things go with the views and that. I'm sorry I couldn't show you my analytics and that like you had requested me to do before. If I ever figure out how to do that, I'll get around to doing that, because I know Pee-wee, you had requested me to do that. So anyway, folk, right, and same to yourself, Marcus Aurelius. Obviously, much appreciated, folk, and I'll get around to doing more content soon. And once I figure this whole thing out, then I'll get around to doing the interview thing with Mike, because he's originally from Hong Kong, and I think it's important that people get to understand certain things that you might know, information you might not know. Anyway, folk, it's been interesting, and I shall talk to you later. Cheers.